All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome in. Welcome in. The Rem and Sam pod is live. We've made it to wedding week on the Rem and Sam pod. Of course, shout out to Sam and Naya. This is going to be an exciting time. At this time next week, of course, the wedding will have happened. They will be married. And we're looking forward, chat, to be in attendance. I mean, what an honor. Hey, yo, of course, we'd be looking forward to just at any point going out the West Coast, see our guy. We actually have never met Naya in person, so that would be a fun opportunity, of course, to get to meet her as well. But then again, like we're saying, to be part of such a great day, of course, is incredible honor. So we're looking forward to it, chat. The end of this week is the big day, and who knows what the schedule is for later this week, but who cares? Again, the priority this week is the big wedding day this weekend. But tonight the show goes on, of course, as usual. We get to continue to look at some of the NFL stuff like we have been over the past couple of live streams, except for the last one, of course, because we had such a big hip hop, somewhat, of course, Big X, shout out to our, our hip hop guy, but definitely doing a little bit something else with this latest album. But I guess, we'll have to see. I haven't really looked to see what the reactions have been for that one as well, too. It did seem like the Kid Cudi album, everybody was really messing with that one. Here, let's see if we can I guess I'll see if I can find did Rap TV post a what are your Offset reactions to that album. And maybe here we got a Big X to plug, I guess, as well too. Shout out. I hope you're happy. Is top 5 across all genres in Apple Music as well too. So I guess they had Offset at the time of this being posted 4 hours ago. Offset was at 3, Gunna was at 4, and Big X the Plug was at number 5. So wait, let's see if people are messing with it. Fire. Safe to say the biggest, the largest. Not a country listener, but his tracks sound good. I can't even lie. Okay, so yeah, I mean, like we were saying, there was definitely seemed like he was blending the genres very, very well, for sure. Biggie's son looks like Biggie on a diet. Hey, yo, Big X, Biggie on a diet. Hey, yo, is that a shot at Biggie? What's going on? A shot at Biggie. I thought we were done taking those. Hey, yo, chat. It is what it is. Okay, we're getting some jokes about, of course, some of the recent other Big X Plug news over the weekend. I think he's out. Hopefully he's doing okay. Is there something with artists dropping music and then are they helping the promo by just getting arrested? Who knows what's going on here? Did Glorilla drop a track when she got arrested? Of course, that was a weird situation with it was like, wait, they're not even showing up to they're calling for help, but then what's going on? That obviously didn't turn out right, but it did seem like it seems like people are messing with it. Hey, yo, you love to see it. So we'll see, of course, what is added into the rotation. We don't have anything here, I guess, specifically asking for Offset reactions. Earl Sweatshirt, hey, yo, shout out. We didn't even listen to the Earl Sweatshirt album as well too, but that one, of course, was also dropped. So again, just a stacked day. Great day to continue to add stuff into the rotation. I think next week, like we were saying, we're continuing to get a couple more drops. Our guy Joey as well too, so that'll be fun. We'll have a new album to listen to this weekend while we're in Cali traveling around. That'll be great. One of our favorites, of course, our guy Joey, back with some new music, and I think this time it's actually going to drop as well too. It seems, and maybe the pushback will be good as well. Again, it just in the month of August, like, it just happens to be so stacked that obviously for us guys like myself, we're really looking forward to his album specifically. But just in terms of new music, of course, again, we're being fed week to week, so it's not like there is that. It's not like. And again, he can obviously carry a quality level as well too, but it's not like he has to just carry in terms of dropping new music in general. Like we're saying, we've gotten a ton of new songs. So it's like, okay, yeah, we're bummed out the album wasn't there, but then a couple of weeks, a lot of drops, look up all of a sudden, it's like, oh yeah, then we're getting that Joey album, and maybe kind of being at the end of the run as well. Because he is the legacy, I think, of him, combined with, of course, he's also still, in some ways, an up-and-coming guy. There's a potential there as well too, but he does, of course, have a run at this point under his belt. And I think even of the guys that have dropped, he would still kind of be the the statusy guy. I guess Jid, of course, as well too. But they're kind of both in that same, like we're saying, next up, but also have solidified themselves as the some of the best guys in the game right now, as well too. I mean, again, Big X is also in that mix, but I think he's more kind of in the next generation, even though of course the takeover is there as well too. But I'm gonna Offset, Cuddy. It is again, like we're looking forward to that album as well too. But tonight, we're gonna be doing some fantasy mock drafts because we haven't really discussed, I guess, like the individual skill guys as well too, and kind of figured out what could happen for their individual seasons. We were kind of looking at the whole teams in general last time and ranking the rosters against each other, excluding the QBs. We've ranked the QBs. We've ranked most of the non-QB rosters. It was going quite a while on the live stream the last time we were ranking teams. So it's like, well, at what point do we just have to be like, we'll just have to call it a night. But, we did a lot of the rank. And, if we kept ranking teams at some point, we conveniently, I feel like, left off some teams that we were going to be ranking over the Colts. So the Colts ended up surprisingly high on our non-QB team rankings. But I don't think it's necessarily wrong either. Again, you look at the roster healthy. Like, there is a balance on the offense and defense there. Like, we're built, Ballard, he's always, I feel like, again, trying to build teams in the right way. Sometimes the drafting can be a little hit or miss as well too. But I mean, you get like this year we got Tyler Warren in the draft, and people are obviously going crazy about a new tight end prospect that could potentially be really good in year one. But also Ballard's drafted like 2 tight ends in every draft the entire time he's been there. So it's like, that's a position that, yes, again, it's great that, eventually we did get eventually we have, of course, drafted a guy that could be potentially as great as Tyler Warren is showcasing. But also, again, maybe not maybe not the position we should have been drafting just based on the way we've been building the team over the last couple of years. So, again, it's just a weird way with how teams have been built. But it is a good roster. And I think from a fantasy standpoint, it is a team that I guess the problem is, of course, it's going to be the, what's the quarterback play? Because like we said, we do like our receivers as well, too. Let's see if we can get into a mock here as well and get fired up. 8 teams? Hey, yo, Chad, an 8-team league is just, I feel like, not enough. Oh, wait a second. We accidentally got into an 8-team league here. I feel like, again, you know how it is, Jets. Getting into some of these mocks sometimes can be a little tricky. Okay, we're going to have to we might have to go a couple minutes out here and see. Expert chat, can we get into a pro 14-teamer? Okay, let's just go for it. If there's still some spots left. Join this league. I don't even know what spot we're drafting in yet. Edit. No, we just return to the weight room. I don't care about the team settings, chat. Hey, yo, Rem's remarkable team. We'll go with it. Can we just go return to draft waiting room? Here we go. Rem old man moments trying to get into the fantasy waiting room. Okay, here we go. 3-minute countdown. We're at number 13. I kind of like it, chat. We get to be on the turn. I feel like in the real fantasy drafts that we've had, we've never really drafted from the end of the first round. Last year would have been maybe the latest pick we had, again, in our real fantasy league, which would have been like maybe 10 or something, like 10 out of 14, 9 out of 14, something in that range. So again, definitely getting to the, more closer to the return part of that second round than not. But this would actually be a spot that would be great to have in the draft, because having the number 1 pick in the draft never seems like it really does work out. Of course, you get into that weird spot with the running backs where you have to build up the legacy and the consistency over all the years, and then we know the running back life cycle. It's like by the time you're the number 1 fantasy running back, in the draft ADP status of it all, sometimes the consistency, injury stuff year to year can be a little iffy as well too. So and I feel like with the receivers as well, like we're saying, it can be a little bit of the older thing, but maybe there's just kind of a curse as well too. Or are we just bad at fantasy that we haven't picked the number 1 guy? I guess we'd have to go back and look at the ADP rankings as well too. And maybe we're just thinking, McCaffrey, of course, has been basically his entire fantasy existence the health thing has always been a question mark there, so he's always been the battle with, where do you take him in the drafts? And now, we're starting to add to the timeline as well too. And the Brian Robinson thing was really interesting. I mean, we've had Brian Robinson on fantasy teams in the past, so make no mistake, we are pro Brian Robinson, and he was one of those guys that, you'll have guys that you draft in fantasy, and then all of a sudden you don't, you're kind of neutral going into the season, like emotionally on the fantasy player, and then their performance in the fantasy season, of course, will win you over, and then you'll just be like, this guy's my guy forever because of the way he played. But then there's some guys that you target going into the fantasy season. You're like, this is my guy. I'm gonna draft him in this like sleeper. I'm gonna draft him. I'm gonna build my strategy around drafting him as a sleeper, which sometimes I don't know if it's smart, but it's definitely a strategy that we've done in the past. I think it's obviously something that everybody does, and you got to know how to win the later rounds as well too, of course, in your draft, to at least build that team earlier in the year to try to compete. But Brian Robinson was one of those guys that, I'm trying to remember if it was the year that their year returning off of him getting shot, or the year before that. I think it was the year before that. But he was a guy that was like, I think the workload was definitely going to be there for him. It seemed like he had a definite role as the RB1 in Washington, and he wasn't necessarily getting drafted super high. So it was one of those things where, we can get RB2 can be a spot where I don't want to say we necessarily throw away RB2, but I can definitely look to one of those guys where, again, maybe as Brian Robinson as an 8th round pick, maybe he could be a top 5 just with the consistency and, health and week to week. If a guy like that, again, is staying healthy. Oh, wait a second. Here we go. We got to get in the draft. We do also have Yankees Red Sox on in the background. I guess it isn't commercial right now. I'm just mesmerized by this commercial. But I've had a couple of baseball games on over the course of the last week, and there has been some moments where I've looked up and I've been like, oh, wait a second, this game's over already? So, hey, baseball, I get maybe as long as we're watching the games, I guess as long as we're already giving them the rating, they don't care if we're paying attention. But just in terms of the, again, the consistency of following the sport and paying attention that way, and then that would, more likely lead to you watching the games. There has seemed to be a watchability thing that, of course, as has been talked about with some of the numbers, has been increasing a little bit as well, too. Just, again, the games aren't necessarily dragging on a little bit. I think there's still, a pretty hefty runtime, but nothing too crazy at this point. So, again, we got Jamar Chase as the #1 fantasy guy. I think the QB receiver duo of him and Burrow, of course, has to be #1 in the league, because the Chiefs, the Bills, the Ravens don't quite have the name value, of course, as the #1 receiver, the same way the Bengals do with the other top quarterbacks in the league. I mean, McLaurin is definitely a high-level wide receiver 1 if we were, again, ranking top quarterbacks. So, you got to give him his respect. We don't know how good McCarthy's going to be this year, so McCarthy-Jefferson becomes a terrifying combo. I mean, Dak and CeeDee as well, too, if you're just taking those two guys and building a team around them, is definitely pretty good. Stafford and Puka for sure. But really, I think Jalen Hurts and AJ... Oh, or Nico and Stroud would definitely be up there as well, too. Nico Collins and CJ Stroud versus Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. Again, Burrow is definitely going to give you the confidence over CJ Stroud at this point, though going forward, of course, we still have stock in what Stroud can be as a player. But there just feels like it could be a little bit of a... I guess I feel like there was a year we did... Well, the year we took Jefferson in the first round, personally, he was awesome, but he was going like 7th, 8th in the draft that year, because that's the range we ended up getting in. And I remember in our draft specifically, it was the person before us, it was a debate between Najee Harris and Justin Jefferson. They, fortunately for us, took Najee Harris, and we got Jefferson that year as well. And I think that was the year, again, he was the #1 of the couple of years, maybe. He's been the #1 fantasy guy that he actually, again, was that. But I feel like, I just hope there's not a kind of Bengals curse season goes a little bit of a ride thing for Jamar Chase and Burrow. And I guess, again, from a fantasy standpoint, they could, of course, put up crazy numbers and still potentially be, with the defense, like a 9-10 win team, on the edge of the playoff race there, because, again, we did see that with them last year as well, too. But with them not, with them having the contract battle with Hendrickson and the way they haven't necessarily, with the paying stuff, but the draft picks, it does seem like they're, again, have been good draft picks, but there hasn't necessarily been that, elite hit guy on defense so far. I haven't been paying attention to who's going off the board at this point, chat. Hey, yo, we've got 30 seconds to make a call. I mean, we got Neighbors with the Giants quarterback situation. Jackson Dart could be fun. Amon-Ra with Goff. But we always love building around the rookie running backs. Passing on A.J. Brown is going to be tough, chat. Hey, yo. I guess we're at the turn. If we can get A.J. Brown on the turn, then we'll be cooking. But the rookie run, you got to, we don't want to necessarily start to unveil our, if we were a real NFL GM, this is the dark secrets of building a team. But make no mistake, you bring in a running back, chat, we know you got to, give him some carries early on. Hey, yo, it's just what it is. If you're drafting a running back, you're probably, again, going to give him some carries. G&T's going to get that RB1 workload for sure. And that would be another, I know we've done that in years past, but to continue to, again, update it, I feel like it's successful every year. So we're going to get A.J. Brown, chat. Neighbors and Jonathan Taylor were off the board. We could go Amon-Ra as well, but I'm just biased toward A.J. Brown. And we do have Penix stock this year, so I could just, Drake London, the take a leap guy, if just he takes a leap and there's some statistical stuff for him versus A.J. Brown, where, again, the status stuff maybe doesn't fully take A.J. Brown's spot, but maybe he does have the higher powered stats here. I could definitely see that as well, too. And the Eagles, of course, can be a little bit run-focused as well. But we do trust. I mean, maybe Dotson. I don't know. With Dotson, them bringing in some more receivers, maybe, and trying to continue to spread it out a little bit more. Maybe that would be a case against it as well too. But I'm still in on AJ Brown as, just a wide receiver one type candidate. I don't necessarily know if people aren't. Now, I guess who are the guys that are going above him? It would be like Thomas and Neighbors at this point would kind of have leaped above him. Nico Collins, I don't think was necessarily being drafted above him last year. CeeDee Lamb, of course, just from a fantasy standpoint, those guys have been in the mix over A.J. Brown. Even though I think, again, from an on-the-field standpoint, there is definitely a case there. But you do have, again, a couple of the younger names. And Brian Thomas, you start talking rookie contracts on the field, I get that stuff. But, again, from a fantasy standpoint, I'm just more confident that the better the quarterback, regardless of who the team, honestly, regardless of running back, receiver, again, it does matter. Volume of the opportunity is definitely matter as well, too. But as time goes on with fantasy, or maybe it's just where we're at in the NFL as well, too, but as time goes on, just the better the quarterback, that's where I'm leaning with all the fantasy stuff. If I have to make a call, just take the better quarterback. Don't even look at, I guess, Amon-Ra versus A.J. Brown. I guess you're debating good quarterbacks there potentially as well, too. But, again, the Giants and Neighbors, we did see him get a lot of targets with the previous quarterbacks that they've had. You imagine that even if the quarterback improves, he's still going to get a lot of targets because he's just the best weapon that they have. And the degree to which he is a little bit of a separation from the rest of the league as well too. But between him and honestly between Trevor Lawrence as well too, there is just a little bit of a question mark where, I guess for me personally, I just don't have question marks about Jalen Hurts. Again, fantasy standpoint, his production with the rushing is one thing, but like we've seen as well too, his ability, again, just to get AJ Brown numbers has definitely been pretty, it's definitely been pretty solidified at this point over the last couple of years as well too. When are we on the board next? Are we going to get a quarterback? I guess, did Hurts just go? Yeah, he did just get drafted. One spot after Ladd McConkey and Bucky Irving. When I was looking at some of the fantasy stuff this weekend real quick, I was like, oh yeah, Bucky Irving is getting that kind of love. I mean, he was awesome last year, and that Tampa Bay offense, of course, could be really high-powered. Him and the RB1 there. Actually feels like, kind of, shout out to Rachaad White. He was definitely a really good fantasy producer as well, too. And he's definitely a guy that you want to have in the running back room. I don't think that he is, again, an unvaluable guy to the team. I guess, is he still on the Bucs as well, too? Oh, shout out Rachaad White. He's got to be somewhere impacting the team. But I think Bucky Irving does have a little more RB1 potential as a guy that can carry a little bit as well too. But yeah, I'm still not against taking again AJ Brown over some of these guys that maybe are projectable just for again the talent stuff, what the yards could be in the years going forward. I'd still trust the Eagles offense this year to be pretty good. You know, Taylor with the Colts run game could still be definitely a high powered part of the offense. But you know, he's had an injury thing as well too. I know I don't want to necessarily, you know, as a Colts fan, I don't want to think about that. But I also don't necessarily want him to be a guy that's going to be top 5 in the league in carries at this point. And again, because of our quarterback situation, we're not necessarily going to be a team that probably is competing. So keeping, you know, but we still want to keep him healthy as well too. But just from a smart, you know, if we're going to get a quarterback maybe soon as well too, can we keep Jonathan Taylor for healthy as many years as possible? Like, we don't want to necessarily have him be the, you know, again, the super high volume guy as well too. So wait, who are the running backs over Jacobs over Josh Ginty, Derrick Henry, and Gibbs and Saquon, and Bijan as well too. Bijan was actually the number 1 pick. Hey yo, Bijan over Jamar. Shout out. I mean, to be honest, Bijan, Jamar, I think I might just go Saquon at number 1. I love Bijan, and again, we're talking about the timeline of the running backs. He's still in those prime running back years as well too, still on that rookie contract. The Falcons offense, we expect them to take a step forward and expect that to benefit everybody, including the run game. But again, with what the Eagles did last year in the high powered trio of Hurts and Barkley and AJ Brown, I still feel like those have to be some of the top guys. Gibbs as well could be in the mix for the number 1 pick as well. And I don't want to, again, just discredit, like, Jamar Chase could still have, you know, 1,700 receiving yards. And like we were saying, the Bengals don't have to be the best team in the league. But I do think that we got to give Saquon his credit as well, too. And with the way that the Eagles can just control the end of games, and Saquon has that MVP value in that type of way, then he still has, you know, value over the course of the whole game. The same way that, you know, again, kind of Jalen Hurts does as well too. Are we going to get Shua Hubbard with our next pick? We could get Henderson. I guess we need a... who did we even take with our last? We took AJ Brown. I thought we were taking a quarterback. We were looking at quarterbacks for this pick. Who is on the board for quarterback? Mahomes, and then it drops to Baker, Kyler, and Purdy. So do we just take Mahomes because we can get a skill guy? I know from a fantasy standpoint that might not be great, but from a name value standpoint, we're just building a name value team, chat. Hey, yo, Ginty, Mahomes, and AJ Brown. I mean, that's a high-powered, on-the-field team. I feel like that's a thing that we always try to, again, strive for as well, too, is, like, to actually have a team that we'd want to run out there. And, again, there is a degree to, you're getting great guys to some degree throughout the course of the first 3 picks, and there's going to be like, oh, you know, this team's pretty stacked in real life if you could get this to work. But I guess Ginty on the rookie contract, like, this could be realistic in some way. Oh, Connor, shout out Connor, getting auto picked. Hey yo, oh no, our auto pick would be James Conner. Hey, oh, we got a draft here, chat. We're on the clock. I'm looking like this is somebody else up here. We're gonna get Connor as the RB2. Shua Hubbard, Kenneth. Ooh, Marvin Harrison Jr. I know we don't want to take Ohio State guys, but oh, you know what? Just for the fun of talking about it, let's take DK Metcalf here because I do. And I think I might have mentioned this on the last live stream as well too, but I do think there is some fantasy value in DK Metcalf this year because I know the Aaron Rodgers thing, and like we're immediately going against what we just said. We're drafting against the good quarterbacks, but again, we're going to do a couple mocks, so we're not committing to this team. But just since he's in the range of these guys right here, like I'm saying, I saw a couple of training camp highlights of Rodgers just continually checking it down to DK Metcalf, and I saw one specifically. And again, you know that the caption, just because the caption says a guy is reacting a certain way doesn't mean that that's actually why he's reacting. We get that as well too. But the caption was like, oh, Freiermuth frustrated because Rodgers just keeps checking it down to DK Metcalf, and I was like, I'm buying it, chat. I'm buying it. I can see Metcalf running those little like drag routes just for 3-4 yards. Just Rodgers, just the Madden hot routes. DK Metcalf a little drag route, just keeps checking it down. You can do like a little, I think bubble screen. I think you could do like a little Devontae Adams short yardage stuff that they were doing with him in the LaFleur offense, of course, with Rodgers there as well. But the the volume that he could get in that Steelers offense, I think, could definitely be there for sure. And he is a little bit, I think, better in some of that short yardage stuff than Pickens is. I think DK, of course, would be a great guy to have as like another, obviously, if you have DK and another guy, then you're stacked at receiver for sure. But it's like him and Lockett, he can bring sort of and Lockett was down the field kind of as well too, kind of a deep threat. So, to have for him to bring kind of a vertical element to the offense, I think would be where DK would definitely be at his most valuable. But again, I think in some of and Pickens is a great receiver, so I think you just have him running routes, it would be fine. I guess Calvin Austin is pretty feisty as well too. We don't want to necessarily forget about him. Are we on the clock for a second? Okay, no, we're good to look at this Steelers lineup for a second. So there is some, I think, creative potential with Calvin Austin in this offense, and our guy Roman Wilson. Hey, yo, shout out. Just a great possession receiver that you want to have as well. But I could just, again, with Rodgers, just if the pressure is getting to him, the Steelers' offensive line's not holding it up. He's just like panicking up in the third quarter of all these games, and all of a sudden he just keeps checking it. Like DK Metcalf has like 11 receptions a week. I don't know how crazy it's going to get, but he could be a top 5 receptions guy, I think, this year. Kind of a sneaky in the 4th, 5th round. I don't know if, like with what we just did, where we kind of picked him maybe a little early, I think if we had not gone quarterback there and had doubled up on the skill guys, maybe that would have been a little smarter move. And again, in acquiring him specifically, or kind of, again, keeping him higher up on the board and then waiting for the rest of the guys to get scared of that Rodgers stuff, and then to potentially buy the DK Metcalf stock a round or two a little bit later. But again, I would not necessarily be totally scared of Metcalf. I think, and if you want to say that he's going to check it down to Freiermuth as well too, I guess, we're only going off a couple of clips, so I can't tell you that you're wrong. But because I think Rodgers has a familiarity with the receivers specifically as well, and Freiermuth is pretty good. I think, could Freiermuth be the best tight end that Rodgers has ever played with? I guess, he's Jermichael Finley. We have to go back through the years. Sorry, Packers fans, we don't remember every tight end you ever had. But Freiermuth is pretty good as well too. But again, DK, his familiarity with the way to get a receiver involved in that type of way, I think there definitely is some fantasy value there as well too. So it was him versus Marvin Harrison, Garrett Wilson, Calvin Ridley. Sutton's in this range, McMillan as well too. McLaurin was just off the board. So was JSN, so was Worthy. So maybe a little bit better quarterback situations for sure. But again, Fields, I don't know if Fields as a passer this year is going to be more effective than Aaron Rodgers. I think maybe the way they're able to set up his passing game because of his mobility, and then thus he does become a more effective passer. But I guess, is Fields going to be able to get Garrett Wilson more fantasy points than Rodgers can DK Metcalf? Are we going to end up with Pickens and Metcalf? Hey, yo, this is an interesting spot for the receivers. We got to look at the running backs as well too. Ooh, we've got the Washington guy here potentially falling to us if John's finest team doesn't take him with this pick as well too, because here, let's go look up their depth chart, because like we were saying earlier, that Brian Robinson trade was interesting, of course, for the McCaffrey side of it, with him going to the Niners. Like, are they, that kind of insurance that they're acquiring. But also, again, for Washington to trade him, like, Robinson is good. I would assume, like, am I missing something? I haven't necessarily been following all the training camp articles like I'm supposed to. Yeah, let's just draft this guy, Chad. Hey, yo, screw it. We got a couple of rookies. Ginty and Krosky. I'm guessing Krosky merits a rookie, because I'm not remembering his name from the past. But here, let's double check and see. Oh, that's right. They have Eckler as well too. But I still feel good about this pick because, Eckler's on that timeline. Hey, yo, the clock check. Can we hear the tick-tock for Eckler? Yikes. But, the PFF grade is still pretty good on him as well too. So let's take a look at the rest of the room here. But, again, Brian Robinson would be that, I would, as good as you would think Eckler could be, end of season, playoff run, in big moments, you have that veteran guy. the course of the season, what would you do? Ooh, they've got McNichols as well too. McNichols is going to be 30 though. So, that's you gotta, again, I don't know if we're unveiling our strategies, but if we're a GM, just call us Leo DiCaprio with the running backs chat. It is what it is. We've got 2 running backs, we've got 2 receivers. Tight end, do we go tight end quickly? Kelsey, Tyler Warren, chat, it's too soon. Hey, yo, we're gonna auto draft somebody, let's just pick Warren. Hey, yo, chat, it is what it is. I don't feel like it's a bad pick, but we just left a lot of great guys on the board, so we're not just going to keep this tight end list up and just say, hey, we won the tight end part of it. It is what it is. We're, like we said, we're going to redo the mocks a couple of times. So, we could just take our Colts guy and feel good about the homerism there. But I guess, yeah, Krosky Merritt, Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt is a rookie. So, Arizona rookie. Shout out. Do we look up his stats? We know that Arizona offense was pretty high-powered over the last couple of years. I'm forgetting the quarterback that they've had. I feel like they've had a couple of quarterbacks recently, of course, that have been able to at least keep that offense a little bit stats-heavy as well, too. And, McMillan, for sure. Speaking of stats-heavy, 12 picks. Hey, yo! Shout out, chat. I guess just feeding McMillan, does that count as stats heavy? So, maybe we need to give McMillan his credit as well, too, with the way. But I feel like, how do we say this last name, chat? Fifta? I feel like the quarterback, again, there was a little bit of hype there as well, too. But wait, okay, so wait, this would have been from this year, right, chat? Where's our guy at here? So, one game, chat. 13 carries, 106 yards. Did he get hurt? I mean, shout out. He was balling out. He's 8 yards a carry in this game. But maybe that's why he's kind of going under the radar as well, too. So New Mexico as a senior. So I don't know necessarily what the history is as well, too, before this. If it was like a, I don't necessarily like JUCO, but, if it was a smaller school, I guess is, transferred up somehow, but ends up, or just maybe didn't play as well, too. But New Mexico as a senior had 1,200, almost 1,300 yards and 18 total touchdowns. 6 yards a carry that year. And then, yeah, just the one game, I guess, at Arizona for 13. So, wait, let's see here. Was this at the end of the season? Or if it's at the end of the season, that's like, okay, everybody's going to the NFL and they're just taking time off. So, if it's at the beginning of the season, then, again, we know he got hurt. Yeah, a non-conference regular season, August 31st, chat. 61-39. Unfortunately, probably one of those things, 13 carries. Again, he's not necessarily even getting a ton of workload, but in that game. But maybe they didn't necessarily even need him when he got hurt as well, too. So, I guess we're giving him the injury benefit of the doubt as well. We know that there could be other reasons why he's not playing. But, again, we'll just say that maybe it was injury or something like that. So, if his rise as a guy, Rodriguez is not a bad little running back as well too. So they do have a nice collection of guys to necessarily, again, keep that workload. Where again, Brian Robinson can definitely be a 3-down back, but he's definitely again closer to not necessarily being the top running back in the league, but can definitely again provide a bit of stability at that spot as well, too. Ooh, we can get Mbuka, Warren. Speaking of Eckler, we just kind of start taking the Washington running backs and see which one, plays out to be the best. Diggs, if we're buying up Drake Maystock, Pittman, Keon Coleman. Ooh, chat, Jawan Jennings. So this is the part in the draft, and we've definitely just been drafting off of the, like the top 3 guys available at this point as well, too. So I guess we are on the turn. We could go Mbuka. Are we just taking receivers at this point? This might be a time to build up on the running backs as well, too. But Mbuka is fun. I know taking Ohio State receivers is not ideal as well. But in terms of the offenses left, I feel like he is in a pretty good situation. Same with Keon Coleman. And Jennings is a guy here. Let's just take Jennings next, assuming that somebody else doesn't snipe him. Tyler is the only guy that can stop us at this point. He just took Warren, top of the board. So, I would definitely say as well, too, definitely don't just draft off of the best available. I guess maybe do, because the auto team auto pick teams definitely do pretty well. For sure, it's always just the auto pick guy winning the league. But I guess just in terms of the mentality of it, don't be afraid to scroll down and just take a guy. So we're going to scroll down just a tad, just a little bit, and snag Jawan Jennings here. Keon Coleman is an interesting one as well, too. But let's just take Jennings because I have been eyeing him as a potential mid-round guy that could have a big year because he was really awesome for him last year when people started getting hurt. And they do have Pearsall, who, again, was also hurt last year. You know, shout out to him making his recovery as well. But, again, Jennings was really able to keep that wide receiver. So maybe I'm just remembering the couple of really good weeks. Let's see what the grade was on the season here. 28, 14th best receiver in just the NFL in general. So, again, that's not a fantasy standpoint. The 49ers, they like it when their receivers are blocking and they use them in the run game. And Ayuk and Debo have obviously been good at that over the course of their careers as well, too. But, again, Jennings has been a guy that has been there for a second. He's always played well when he's checked in. And when he got elevated, he was definitely playing really well. So let's take a look here at the week-to-week. Jennings is definitely on our, like, I'm planting a flag. Hey, yo. We're buying the stock, chat, in Jennings. We have him in the bench, but honestly, I think we'd flip him and Ibuka into the flex. I don't know. See, I'm not saying we're necessarily like buying up the DK Metcalf stock for this year. I'm just saying if you do end up getting to a spot where there's value in that pick, I think there is, again, value in that pick because there could be really good opportunity there. Just Rodgers just checking it down to him. But G&T, I would definitely take G&T as the RB1 in our ideal, perfect world fantasy team of, again, our perfect world fantasy team is A.J. Brown slides into the 5th round. We're playing with a bunch of idiots, and we just get A.J. Brown late in the draft, obviously. But realistically, if we're going the ADP stuff, G&T might be a pretty good, number one, again, the later half of the draft type guy as well, too. Scattaboo? Oh, Scattaboo off the board. The auto picks are starting to filter in, chat, and starting to take over at this point. Maybe we do one more for this one specifically. So we do have Rachaad White confirmed on Tampa Bay still at this point. So, that's, again, valuable for their offense in general. Makes you feel really good about their team, even if, again, like we're saying, Bucky Irving is taking a little bit of the fantasy stuff from him as well. Ooh, McCarthy? We can get our guy McCarthy as a backup for Mahomes. I don't know if we're necessarily going to be lighting up the fantasy boards here, chat. Jordan Love, we're definitely in backup quarterback range. Backup tight end range. Backup running back range. Braylon Allen. We just steal from the Simmons pod and take Braylon Allen, chat, for our bench. Let's do it. Hey, yo. We just passed. Oh, Jalen Wright. I was going to say, we just passed on Waddle. We passed on Leggett, though. Ooh, Leggett is fun. I guess we're on the turn. Do we take Leggett? Ooh, Benson. Connor is been very consistent over the last couple of years. We could go Benson or we could go Leggett, chat. We do need running backs, I feel like. Well, I don't know. We got GT. I always love the receivers. So we're going with Leggett. It is what it is. We definitely should have gone Benson, but Benson's more of a stash guy. Maybe we could get Benson. I guess he's going to get auto-picked here at some point as well, too. But, yeah, Jennings is definitely mid-round guy, like we were saying, that we are all in on. That could be a really good pick. So let's see what we've got here, chat, for production last year. Almost 1,000 yards. 975 yards, 77 receptions, and 6 touchdowns. So that alone is just, again, really valuable fantasy receiver. If you got that, if he just repeated that season, and with the injury stuff, who knows? But he's going to be elevated into that wide receiver, too, for a little bit. And to be honest, I, again, think Pearsall is really good, but I just think in terms of trust at this point, Purdy proved a little bit that he did trust Jennings by, again, relying on him as much as he did. I do think that he could have more of a trust for Jennings over Pearsall in some big moments, and that he just could kind of ascend as a wide receiver one, even though, again, Pearsall could be still just a really valuable part of the offense as well, too. So he did have just, we definitely remember the 150-yard game, 150 yards before the catch. Hey, yo, really flying around the field. 175 yards total. 11 receptions that game. And what do we got for touchdowns? We got first downs here. No touchdowns, though, listed for some reason. But he did, as I say, he didn't get 100, but, he got 88, 93, 91, 90. So, again, we're looking at he was the 100th guy. He was a guy that's on our bench right now. So if we're in a 2-flex league, again, this is great to have him as our second flex. He's definitely going to outscore Tyler Warren, who we picked 2 rounds before him, as well too. Shout out, Tyler Warren's going to have a good year for sure, and could easily be above Metcalf as well. I mean, he could be our wide receiver, just 2 in general, by the time the season is all said and done. And like we were saying, who knows where Purdy's status goes this year, but you imagine that he still is, if anything, an above-average starter at the end of the league. Is he just like, okay, is Purdy going to be an elite top 5 guy that's going to carry the Niners on his back to a championship, NFC championship game as the roster maybe goes in a different direction? Like, who knows? But obviously, good Shanahan roster, good offense. Like, he's able to conduct everything to a certain degree. And, again, from a fantasy standpoint, could definitely help Jennings produce as well, too. So now we're in the real part of the draft. Ooh, where Brian Robinson is at now. Shout out. Marshawn Lloyd. Hey, yo, Lloyd's not an interesting one. Is he still the RB2 over there in Green Bay? Wait, are we on the clock? Are we? Wait a second. We got the speaker icon. We are, chat. We're just going to draft Lloyd and then do the research afterwards. Again, it's mock drafting time. So I guess this is obviously how you build a team, right, chat? Now we're really unveiling how we build a team as a GM. And that's perfect for NFL, I think, right? Just go, we'll take that guy, watch the film later. Wan'Dale Robinson, Christian Kirk in Houston, Bateman in Baltimore, Demario Douglas in New England. We just keep going rookies. Luther Burden in Chicago. Michael Wilson in Arizona's fun. Let's just go Wan'Dale Robinson. What's Jackson Dart later in the year? Here's a guy that's going to get Wan'Dale Robinson the ball, chat. Hey, yo. But who are we looking for? Lloyd. And shout out, I do like Josh Jacobs. I really liked him to have a resurgent season last year. But I don't know if he's a lock to just be a top running back in the league going forward in Green Bay as well, too. Again, he has been around for a couple seasons as well. Oh, wait, we actually did want the roster here. Not just the lineup part of it. Lloyd, yeah, Jacobs, he was 3rd last year. Hey, yo, maybe we can't discredit him too much. Emmanuel Wilson, and honestly, like, Abadakanya, did we say the last name right? He's the Pittsburgh running back, right? Yeah, he is. Wasn't he on the Jets? What's he doing on the Packers? Hey, yo, what are the Jets giving up on Abadakanya for? He's a guy that could be a rotation running back. Tyrion Davis-Price feels like he's always been, on the borderline of being a starter as well, too. So I guess we can't necessarily just lock in Marshawn Lloyd as the RB2. Hey, yo, chat, the PFF grade is not backing up the vibes. That's for sure. Did we get a grade on Abadakanya? No, they don't. I guess he wasn't really. He might have been hurt last year. Hey, yo. Maybe that's what ended up happening as well. And then, Braylon Allen's a good RB2 for sure. Emmanuel Wilson. Was he? Oh, Emmanuel Wilson. Some good minutes. 12th in RB rating. Is that special teams? We're not discredit him. We're just asking. Just trying to do the research. It is what it is. So maybe if Jacobs, I guess only 27 as well, too. Okay, chat. We'll back off of pause of Josh Jacobs. Sorry, Packers fans. We didn't mean to doubt your guy at this point. Is there anybody we want to draft left? Oh, I guess we only have 2 spots before we get to kicker and defense. Anyways, ooh, our guy Romeo Doubs is sitting on the flex spot somewhere down there. Who do we have left for quarterbacks? Oh, Cam Ward and Penix and Geno. Honestly, Geno, if you're getting Geno at this spot in the draft from a fantasy standpoint, like who knows who we could have taken? Who could we have taken back from the Mahomes pick? Hey, yo, Chad, I didn't know we were going to get, like, Geno and Mahomes could have similar numbers. I mean, Mahomes is definitely going to have more wins. But, I mean, are we going to go with Cam Ward? I guess we could definitely buy up the Cam Ward stock for the season, but I think if we're buying up stock for the fantasy season, and, again, for just the quarterback status of it all, who's this Baltimore kicker? Hey, yo, Chad. Tyler Loop, suspicious. I don't know if Baltimore knows how to, what they're looking for in their kickers. But let's go Penix as the backup for Mahomes. Make no mistake, Penix could be starting by week 3 from a fantasy standpoint if he's just, lighting up the passing yards part of it. So we got our backup quarterback. Is there any other flex guys that we might need? Backup tight end? Do we stack up the tight end? Jonnu Smith, Darren Waller, Otten? Hey, yo, chat. Cade Otten? Okongwu? Brenton Strange? Oh, chat, we're on the clock. Let's go, Michael Wilson! It is what it is. Shout out. Okay. We're out of flex, guys. So, yeah, we got defensive kicker left. Shout out to all the defensive kickers out there, but this is the time where we exit the draft. It is what it is. We've already stayed in this draft for too long, chat. How do you get out of these things? We're trapped. Hey, yo. Who does the mocks on desktop, chat? That's too much commitment. Mocks is like, lunch break. Let me just do a fantasy mock while I eat real quick. It is what it is. Chat, this is crazy. I guess we could just go back. Here. We'll just try that. We don't need to save this team. Okay, chat, we made it. We figured it out. The back button. It is actually the way to make it work. Okay, there we go, chat. Mock 1 in the board. So we've definitely here. We can assemble like a dream fantasy. Should we assemble a dream fantasy lineup and then track it for the season? Really test ourselves, chat. It depends, I guess, on how good it goes. And then we'll see. So Jawan Jennings as a flex guy, lock it in is what we're saying. Here, let me find empty page real quick, chat. Okay. We got one. We're locking. I almost want to lock in Ginty as well too, but again, for the early round guys, that is definitely, again, specific to where you're picking in the draft. So, but maybe not. Maybe like we're saying, just go off of ADP. If you got the number 1 pick Ginty. If you pick Ginty over Bijan this year, I'm not calling you crazy. Again, I think that taking the best rookie running back, not just the number 1 guy in the draft, the guy who looks like he could be the best rookie running back, of course, the preseason training camp, whatever you want to look at it in that type of way as well too. But the guy that looks like he's going to have the best rookie running back season with the good workload, like we said before, that is just a lock top 5, top 7. The starting RB1 production is definitely going to be there. Is it a lock? He's going to be the best running back in the league? Who knows? Or best fantasy running back in the league. Again, not always the case, especially from a pure rookie as well too. We get that. But there is going to be a baseline of production that's there for sure. And then if you do strike with one of those veteran guys a little bit later, or again, another sort of younger guy as well too, then you're really, of course, looking good with just that double sort of consistency production from both spots. And just mentally not having to worry about, switching out those as well too. Because again, from Ginty, the running back spot of it can be the one where you get into the season a little bit. The receivers, of course, can be sometimes a little bit more replaceable at times, just from a fantasy lineup perspective, than some of the running back stuff, for sure. And the value of it as well too. Again, just trading for a guy that's a starting level running back off another team can just be a little bit too valuable as well. So you want to make sure that you have that type of production going into the season. And then, of course, that you're paying attention to the waiver wires earlier on. That you're losing some early. Is that the way to do it, Chet? You tank early in the season? Did we just unveil a new draft strategy or a new team building strategy for fantasy football? Because, again, for real life sports, I mean, you could start tanking at the beginning of the season. You could go into it and go, yeah, we're just tanking this year. It is what it is. But you start to get halfway through, middle of the seasons to the end of the season where you're like, oh, yeah, now the season's not going our way. Let's just start building to the draft, thinking about the future. Let's pull the plug on this experiment and start tanking this thing. But in fantasy, if you tank the first couple of weeks, get those good waiver wire selections, keep your guys healthy as well, too. Does that count, the karma of resting those guys on the bench? But then you kind of stack your waiver wire early in the year, and then you just insert your starters back into the lineup, and all of a sudden you're cooking. It's like, wait, Rem's team's on a 7-game win streak? Well, yeah, I got the number 2. They got the top 3 waiver wire guys in the first couple of weeks, and then I just, who I got in the draft worked out as well. Maybe, again, it counts, of course, on you hitting the draft strategy. And I think it would really only work the first week as well, because you would use your waiver wire up and then reset. but everybody might use their waiver wire. So if you lost again, and there's like a point scored thing there, so it's not always a guarantee that you get the number 1 waiver going into each week, and that there's always a plethora of waiver wire guys. Again, the waiver wire can later in the season be the more valuable thing, as unfortunately, guys get hurt and have to be replaced from on the field standpoint as well too. But yeah, Jennings is again a guy middle of the draft type target that once you start, ADP of course can get a little off the board when you start getting a little bit farther down the draft as well too. But GT is definitely another early one. And A.J. Brown is just a guy that I'm going to take every year in fantasy if he's on the board. So it is what it is. I guess we could lock him into our ideal fantasy list. But let's take a quick break, and then we'll return with another mock draft as we try to build the ideal fantasy team for 2025, 2026. Uh-oh, chat. We got to get back into the mock drafts. Again, okay, here we go. We'll be back, chat. Another mock draft right after this. All right, chat, we are back. Let's get into another draft room and keep this mock draft thing cooking here. And I honestly think as well, too, I was thinking we should probably just go ahead and maybe add Tyler Warren into that ideal beginner TEM team. Hey, yo, chat, who are we? What are we dealing with here? But we might need to add Tyler Warren just into that ideal sort of fantasy lineup as well, too. Because, again, he's not necessarily being drafted as the tight end 1, so it's not necessarily a basic pick, though again the vibes are there for him for sure. But we did draft him a little bit higher than his ADP, that average range that was being listed there. But with the way the draft turned out as well, and again with the value of his position specifically, again at the end of the day, any receiver, running back, quarterback, whatever you want to take in the draft, just take them. That's the number 1 rule. Even if, even at the end of the day, if you're not good at drafting, it doesn't matter. Just go with your gut and just take the guy that you want to take. But especially for that tight end spot as well, too, where going into the season, maybe some of the hype is not there for some of the guys, but you start getting into the season, it can definitely turn out that same type of way. There is definitely, again, some upside with taking Tyler Warren a little bit earlier than maybe you'd want to take him. As well, too. Though some of the guys in the range, I'm not necessarily totally out on from a fantasy perspective as well, too, especially since they have move down the, because again, it's all about the value. So a guy like Mark Andrews was being drafted in the top 25, was he not, like last year or 2 years ago? But now if he's going 5th, 6th round, maybe there is a little bit of value there as well too. Again, likely, like we've always said, is a guy that we maybe would build a, maybe we just draft him in real life over Mark Andrews, but it does seem like the Ravens obviously keep going to him as well too. They still haven't quite added the top receiver, though. They did bring in Hopkins this year. I guess Hopkins could be interesting guy, and we don't want to discredit Zay Flowers. Ayo, sorry, Zay Flowers are bad. They do have the top receiver, but they just could obviously continue to build out some of the pass catching weapon stuff as well too. But it really, goes down to more of just the execution and some of the finer moments. But honestly, a name here, Keaton Mitchell, being healthy is interesting. This is a tough grade to look at here, the 50.8. But again, he was returning off of the knee injury last year, so we'll give him a break. But the year before that, we need to look up the full career PFF grades for Keaton Mitchell, because the year before that, he was really cooking. I want to say he was in the top 10. Maybe had like the elite 90-plus grade on his season as well, too. So there is some potential there with Keaton Mitchell. The Ravens might have the best running back room in the league. But again, we still assume that Derrick Henry is going to be top of the league as well, too. So we're in the same spot as we were last time, chat. We're at the second to last pick. We were 13 out of 14. This time we're 9 out of 10. So we're going to get a little bit more of a stacked team. But we are in that GT range again as well, too. So let me take a better look at some of these names in the top 10 type range and see if we can kind of pick a guy to have as our number one for the fantasy season. Hey, yo, chat. What are these graphics? They're not paying for the time of the Remington Sam Pod, but Chase, Robinson, Jefferson, Barkley, Gibbs, Lamb, McCaffrey, Puka, Neighbors, Amon-Ra, Henry, and Jeanty is the top 12. Nico Collins as well, too. To be honest, I would go Nico Collins over Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas as well, too. Did the guy... Oh, Thomas is one spot over Nico Collins. So the guy in our last draft just picked him a little too high. Well, not a little too high, but just, they went with their heart there as well, which is important. But again, with the quarterback situation of Houston, I do think that the connection that him and Stroud are continuing to develop there is, of course, one of the most elite in the league. So they're in that kind of similar discount Burrow Chase spot where even if the Texans aren't as successful, I feel like that fantasy production could still definitely be there. He definitely has had some injury stuff as well. So there is that concern for sure. Will he be able to play the whole season? But Puka would be another one that I would definitely just okay, lock it in. He's probably going to be like a top 5 fantasy receiver for this year. Is he a little Fitzgerald-y? I feel like that comp has probably been made in the past, but he would be honestly the other guy battling AJ Brown at this point for just the most beloved receiver in the league. So this guy did take Saquon, number 1. Smart move by our guy. I want to shout out Gavin's great team. Ayo, Jamar Chase, number 1. I do like the status of Saquon being the number 1 fantasy guy. Honestly, why hasn't he earned that, chat? I get the playoffs necessarily don't count for fantasy, so Chase's regular season versus Barkley's regular season, we'd have to go back and look at what the total points were there from a fantasy standpoint. But again, I think just Barkley having ascended to that level is totally appropriate with the way that he's also carried the Eagles team to winning success as well too. But again, Puka would be the guy that I would almost defend the on the field stuff, and maybe just if you don't think he's going to have a great of a fantasy season, just look away because it'll somehow end up that way. Again, AJ Brown's been that guy. You don't know if he's always going to be the top 5 receiver, but you just always end up, or you're always happy with having him in your fantasy team, and he can always carry your team. And I kind of think Puka's going to be that guy as well too. So we're going to be, we may be able to get GT on the turn here. So this might actually be our ideal team, chat. Puka and GT. Again, our Nico Collins is going to be... Oh, chat, brutal. Brutal. I think they might be tuned into the live stream. We need to be more quiet here. So we do have Neighbors on the board as well. Our guy Collins. And, again, always A.J. Brown. Brian Thomas, we were super high on in the draft as well, too. Let's just this is the situation. Let's just take GT because we love all these receivers. So I don't know, again, if we necessarily are locking him in over projecting him over these top running backs. I would definitely take G&T over McCaffrey. That's for sure. Again, just shout out to McCaffrey, but it is what it is. The health stuff, shout out. So just for the funness of it, I guess we'll lock in G&T as our RB1 for 2025, 2026. Oh, we're on the clock. We could go Brian Thomas. We could just go AJ Brown. I guess it's going to be AJ Brown again, chat. Hey, yo. No, it's got to be Nico Collins. It could be London for sure. We're in the Josh Jacobs. Brock Bowers, we get a little feisty. We build around the tight end for sure. Let's this time take Nico Collins and see what happens. Let's double check the AJ Brown health thing, because I want to say that there has been maybe some tweaks, but he does play every game as well too. So I guess 2021 he had played 13 games. 12 games started in 2020, and then 2024 13 games. So you know, a little bit up and down there. Who do we just check? Hey, Nico Collins, but still not too crazy. Again, he's not. Well, I guess, you know, how far do we want to speak on it, chat? We don't want to jinx him. But, yeah, I guess, again, for Nico, 14, 10, 15, and 12. So he has had the high-end production when he is there. 8 touchdowns and 7 touchdowns each of the last 2 seasons. And Brian Thomas falling in the draft, chat. So is A.J. Brown. Wait a second. Is the draft loaded, or is this guy just taking a while? No, we have had 3 picks. Jacobs, Amon-Ra, and Achane off the board. I mean, the obvious Hubie Brown tremendous upside potential is definitely there with him for sure. But the consistency of the Dolphins offense is going to give me pause. I don't know if I'm targeting the Dolphins offense this early in the draft. But Bowers is going to be interesting. Again, we did say Warren is on our ideal team, so I don't know if we're got to keep that in mind and pass on Bowers later. Again, Warren is... Do they have it ranked by ADP here? I think, 25 projected points. I guess I was kind of hoping to see more like where they're being drafted at right now. But regardless, you know, 113 overall is going to be pretty similar. And I guess people are just drafting off the ESPN list like we're saying anyways. So on ESPN, this is going to be the ADP. Shout out. Oh, T. Higgins range, McConkey and Jefferson. They could be another one to have the receiver quarterback connection be developed in a strong way for sure. He did obviously have a strong year one. Were they in a playoff game last year? I know Herbert hasn't necessarily. Oh, McConkey off the board, chat. Somebody's tuned in. Hey, yo, twice we've been sniped. So we might have to go with the quarterback again now too. So quarterback round 3 might be the strategy. Just, you know, we took Mahomes. Did we take him round 4 last time? And I know we said, you know, Geno Smith later in the draft has really got our attention. Hey, yo, Stroud is way down in the drafts. Do we have to build our team that way? So, wait, who's on the board here real quick from a skill guy stuff? Ooh, you know, Lamar. Hey, yo, chat. Lamar or James Cook. You just know having Lamar is going to be so, you know, so much more mentally, you know, just the stability of that's going to be crazy. So let's just take Lamar. Hey, yo, I can't help it, chat. I have to build the best team, and it's taking Lamar. It is what it is. Lamar, G&T, and Nico Collins. I mean, just the feel of that is crazy. And again, the problem is you start comparing the quarterbacks to the middle. Like Mike Evans, we know that he's going to have a good year. We could just take JSN, but I don't want to keep drafting Ohio State receivers. We just take Tyler Warren now. Let's take Henderson and just hope that just double up on the rookie running backs and hope the RB1 opportunity is there for him continued as well too. I know that Stevenson is another really great running back to have in the room as well too. But again, a little Rashad White-ish, maybe a little one-dimensional, and can definitely be elevated into an RB1 role, but maybe a little better used when it's some spotted production as well. So wait, let's double check that Stroud thing, because maybe mock draft number 3 we'll try to you know, build the team out that way. Jackson Dart, hey yo, Jackson Dart and Anthony Richardson range. I mean, you know, shout out our guy Anthony Richardson, but I gotta say, you gotta take Jackson Dart. You know, maybe a couple spots higher. It is what it is. So Stroud down with Stafford, Tua, and McCarthy being drafted above Stroud. I mean, hey, I love to see it. I'm not going to sit here and argue the Michigan guy being taken after the Ohio State guy, but, I'm just saying that again, at least there has been a production there as well, too. So May over Jordan Love, the rushing. Fields as well, too. Fields is not a bad fantasy guy to build potential draft strategy around. Again, his rushing, and he's not in the same spot where he's been, where I feel like there's what do you call it, like his spot as a starter is solidified in the Jets. Like, I know it's not a franchise spot, but at least the last couple of years there has been sort of a more immediate guy right behind him as well, too, to take his spot. Because I guess, in Pittsburgh, obviously, he was just immediately battling with Russell Wilson all year. But in Chicago, I'm trying to remember, was it Tyson Bagent was playing some minutes there? Again, Fields was hurt, for sure. But he didn't overlap with Williams because they traded him when they brought in Caleb Williams. But it felt like he was battling with some other guys there as well, too. So just the fact that he's probably going to be the starter all year does make that an interesting pick as well, too. You know what? We may have a third, let's take Fields or Stroud later, like a late round QB pick as well. And maybe we could just go with the insurance. The Lamar Jackson, Justin Fields, double QB room would be crazy for sure. But I'm not necessarily like too upset about anybody we left on the board at that point as well, too. So that's always just the main part of it is the value in the draft. So speaking of Lamar, at this point, we may just have to go with, let's double check Tyler Warren. Is he still a ways away? He might be a ways away, because we may just have to kind of go with the Ravens offense at this point. I'm not necessarily feeling, bad about it as well, but to kind of just help make our decision, at least we get the stack of the double production there. Again, if Cam Ward is going to be a good producer in the Tennessee offense, even if he might not necessarily, he might be, 12 would be really good. If he's the 16, 7, what's a good range? Let's just say the 12th best fantasy quarterback. Maybe Calvin Ridley as the, 12th best fantasy receiver is a little bit more valuable. But I guess we're on the clock. We could just take Calvin Ridley now. Here, let's see who else is on the board for running back here. Montgomery. Pollard as well, too. Pacheco, Aaron Jones. I'm not too crazy about it. So let's go. Let's just go Worthy, chat. We'll take a Chief. Hey, yo. It is what it is. Rice later in the year for sure. And Jameson Williams is the tremendous upside potential of Jameson Williams is something that our draft rooms have definitely been keeping an eye on. But even in the potentially more balanced Chiefs offense, you do assume that Worthy is the guy going forward. That if you're going to highlight a guy and focus a guy, and who are we, again, focused on what is the future of the team, they may look his way a little bit more than some of the other guys as well. But he goes into our flex. We have Nico Collins and Zay Flowers. I feel like I had this receiver room last year. So I'm a very consistent fantasy guy. I don't play Dynasty, but I basically have Dynasty teams. I just take the same guys every year. It is what it is. And maybe that's just the fantasy subconscious of it all. Everybody is just taking the same guys every year, so we're all just kind of running back the same teams. And then the reason I get A.J. Brown is because everybody else has their guy. But I know, shout out to Champ. I know Champ is also a big A.J. Brown fantasy fan as well, too. So it's just kind of however the draft alignment falls there. And whatever AJ Brown's ADP is. Ooh, we're in Travis Hunter range. I guess we're just staring down the receivers at this point as well. But this may be, let's just take Tyler Warren and get a receiver off the board. Or get a tight end off the board. And just take a roster spot at a position of need. Ooh, Jacoby Myers, not bad. He is a guy that can definitely... 88 catches last year. Again, 900 yards. Has never, of course, had the crazy touchdown production. But Geno Smith there, and Brock Bowers maybe takes away some of the overall receiving production for sure. But do we take Travis Hunter? We said we don't want to necessarily buy stock in the Jags offense. But, I mean, just the funness of having Travis Hunter on your team. I didn't even necessarily consider that from a fantasy perspective as well, too. I guess, obviously, we should have. It's Travis Hunter. He's a going to be a highly touted rookie prospect, obviously. But I don't know. It just seemed like a guy that, again, because of the Jags offense, just that whole kind of team is a team that we're putting on the back burner this year just because we don't really know what the Trevor Lawrence situation is going to be. But now that he doesn't have to be an immediate impact guy on our fantasy roster, I like the upside of him on the bench for sure. So I'm in on that pick. Maybe Travis Hunter as an ideal flex guy. I don't know if we take, for our perfect fantasy lineup, if we have to have a full bench as well too. But maybe we have a couple, extra guys. So we could go back into the Washington receiver route. We could go, like we were saying, Mbuka last time. Waddle, Jerry Jeudy, Golden from the Packers could be a fun one if we just keep building up the rookie receivers. Do we need another running back at some point, chat? Hey, yo, it is what it is. So we probably should have taken the Washington guy there. So maybe we put maybe he just replaces Brian Robinson as again a guy on our ideal fantasy lineup. I'm not against that. Maybe just the familiarity of a Washington running back in that spot. Caleb Johnson, is he going to be I guess Warren is the other guy that is in that Steelers backfield as well too, and has been a guy that fantasy people have been definitely waiting to see what he looks like in a more defined role. But I mean, Caleb Johnson was obviously awesome in Iowa and can be potentially a lead RB1. And they have Kenneth Gainwell as well too, and Trey Sermon. Okay, so the Steelers are kind of stacked at running back. I guess you got to be prepared for Rodgers to just be handing the ball off every guy. You got a guy for each down, chat. Jalen Warren maybe like a third down guy, but Caleb Johnson on first down, Jalen Warren on second down, Kenneth Gainwell on third down, Trey Sermon on fourth down if you need the short yardage. I think it kind of works, chat. I think it kind of works. So let's go with a running back here, and then we'll get out of this draft. Oh, let's go running back and then tight end, I guess, because we'll have the double picks. Hopefully Tyler Warren stays on the board. I feel like in a real fantasy draft, to be honest, round 8, round 9, he's probably going to... Oh, chat! We're dropping the pen. Dropping the notebooks. Dropping everything here. I feel like he is going to be a guy that's going to be drafted a little bit higher than his ADP in like an auto draft, this type of situation. Just basically drafting against the computer. But yeah, let's put Warren on our fantasy team for 25, 26. Maybe we'll track like the FanDuel. We'll look like a FanDuel over-under performances, see if we can find something for these guys as well too as we compile this team. But we'll look at the quarterback more specifically here in this next draft, because that is honestly maybe the other big draft strategy that you need to have at this point. Obviously having a quarterback, but when are you going to take the quarterback and how are you going to build your team? Because again, the name value of walking away in the first 3 rounds like we have been with, and again, the fact that we're eyeing a tight end later in the draft, but you could get Loveland down here as well too. So that's not a bad Tyler Warren backup option as well too. I know there is a few more. Well, I guess, the Colts offense is pretty balanced. So it would just be, Daniel Jones can't even get it out to the receivers. Pause. He's just got to, get it to the tight end all the time too. Goddard. I mean, our guy Pitts, we're never going to give up on Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts has an honorary spot on Team Rem any season, chat. It is what it is. He's just, I just made up my mind. I've got Kyle Pitts stock. I don't know. We'll figure out special teams or something at some point. But we've got Warren on the board here. We're going to auto-draft Njoku anyways. So I don't know why we would auto-draft Njoku over Kelsey necessarily. But we've got Tyler Warren. And then for a flex, we could go the injured Joe Mixon. We could go Jalen Warren like we were saying, that stacked Steelers running back room. We do need another running back. But, we're looking at that Keon Coleman, Shakur as well, our guy Pittman. So who else was in the running back class? Scattaboo? Oh, chat, we're taking Scattaboo. Shout out Cam Scattaboo. If he can carry Arizona State to the playoffs, he can carry Team Rem to the playoffs as well too. It is what it is. We've got him on the bench. We've got all rookie running backs. I actually love it even more, chat. This is actually this is the way to build the team this year. This year, take all rookies. It's perfect. They've got opportunity. They've got young legs. I guess Scadaboo's a little, you know, he definitely had the workload in college for sure. Pause. But in terms of the NFL, he is a new face there. So, you know, is there any value left in... there is going to be value in discussing names at any point in the draft. Charbonnet, you know, Kenneth Walker's always a guy you got to be on the lookout for in terms of his status as well, too. But let's get into a different draft here. And like we said, this time, we're not going to take a quarterback in the first 3 rounds. We're going to wait. We've got Stroud. I guess we're going to have to actually wait in this draft as well, too. But we've got Stroud that we can target later. We've got Fields that we can target later. And usually what happens when I end up waiting on a quarterback is I end up just waiting. You know, I hold for too long, pause, and then the other quarterbacks get sniped. And we're going to end up having Dak Prescott in this draft. It's just what it's going to happen, or Jared Goff, or one of those guys. But we're going to target Fields and we're going to target Stroud, like we were saying, to see what happens there. I guess this is another 10-teamer as well, too. But, hey, it is what it is. Join this league. People aren't mock drafted anymore, chat. Who's giving up? Don't tap out this early. Hey, yo. It is what it is. Okay, here we go, chat. The crew is back. Hey, yo. We'll see what happens. Okay, we're not quite ready to enter into this draft room yet. So this will be actually one that tests our Gene T wish listness here, I guess, because we've got the number 3 pick. We've got the opportunity to basically take any running back we want. Saquon and Jamar are probably going to be off the board. So I guess if Saquon's on the board, we probably have to take Saquon. And I'm saying, I'm definitely in on Bijan, and I think Bijan could definitely be the number 1 stats running back in the league. And he has, in individual plays, definitely showed the tremendous upside potential that he was projected to have in the draft. But I don't know if he's quite been the, you know, never mind. IT cut that out. It is what it is. You know, receiving grade, pass blocking grade a little bit low. Okay, that's what we meant there, chat, right? We were talking about the pass blocking as well, too. So I guess credit the Falcons' offensive. The Falcons' offensive line is definitely pretty good. I wonder if we go, like, longest rush for Bijan, what we would be looking at here. 38 and 37. So he's never had a run of 40 yards in his career. I mean, again, we're not writing him off. It's just a little interesting. But Jamar, Bijan, Jefferson, I'm all in on. I've had Jefferson over the last couple of years, but I guess he hasn't quite hit the fantasy, you know, belovedness in our own minds of, like, A.J. Brown. Like we're saying, we just have to have A.J. I guess Puka is kind of... Did Puka take Justin Jefferson's spot? Because I definitely have had good seasons with Jefferson. So I'm not necessarily... You know, I have no animosity. But he did have that one year where he was awesome and then didn't have quite the best fantasy playoffs. So there is that as well, too. But we've got Bijan off the board first, to be honest. That's good for this draft because now we don't have to make that call. And Jamar Chase off the board second. So we're not going to get Gene T and Saquon. It's just not going to happen. Puka, we could just take our guy Puka, but we got to, again, take Saquon here for sure. There is, we got to give him the benefit of the doubt of being the number 1 guy, carrying the Eagles offense, still being able to get that role in 2025. And they've definitely drafted to continue to have depth around him, but obviously they're not, like, you know, looking for the next guy. Saquon's the guy there. He is the franchise building block of that team. Gibbs is the next up. Again, him and Bijan, rookie contract guys. That's the timeline thing that is always going to be the thing that I'm, you know, I am gravitating toward. And not always going to be the final decision maker, but it is definitely a heavy weight to consider in the running back fantasy thing. But I am, I guess, going to just consider that Saquon is maybe potentially going to be an all-time guy. I guess with his playoff status, he's already kind of there. I mean, look at the achievements, chat. Hey, yo, I don't know if we start going, you know, what's the Hall of Fame percentage for Saquon at this point? Just to check on it at this point. 74th among running backs. He's a top 75 running back of all time. Hey, yo. Again, he hasn't even played that many seasons, so it's not like in the running back timeline, you know, it is what it is. He's still behind Jamal Charles. I guess he is only technically one All-Pro at this point. Was he a couple of second teamers on there? So you've got Jamal Charles at 2. Maurice Jones-Drew still above Saquon. I would assume that those guys, you know, Saquon's cleared those guys from a legacy standpoint as well too. Steven Jackson's an interesting one. Eddie George, like, you know, didn't he get the Titans to the Super Bowl, but they didn't quite win it. Zonka, of course, you know, he's in the Hall of Fame for sure. So Floyd Little also in the Hall of Fame. Shout out. But there is nobody below Saquon at this point. So he hasn't quite hit a Hall of Fame, the Hall of Fame threshold of Floyd Little. So Jamal Charles and Maurice Jones-Drew have, at least according to this list. LaShawn McCoy is, and Frank Gore, but you know Frank Gore is going to get in the Hall of Fame, and Peterson as well too. So is LaShawn McCoy going to get into the Hall of Fame is the question. Oh, GT, ooh, he slid a little bit, chat. He got kind of close. I guess this is a 10 team, not a 12, 14 team, but we were only a couple of picks away. So we do have our running back. We, again, are going to hold on quarterback, and we have a little bit more space between our picks as well, too. So it's not quite a guarantee of who we're going to be able to. We can't quite plan out the 2 picks in the same way. But for our running back options, our guy Taylor, H.N. Chase Brown is up here. Hampton, Connor. You know, I could just go off the board and go Henderson. To be honest, we might sneaky just go another receiver here. A.J. Brown, lock it in. Eagles offense. Hey, yo, chat. We've got Saquon and A.J. Brown. You know what? We might have to wait on our quarterback. Do we just go Jalen Hurts? Is Jalen Hurts still on the board? He is, chat. And we're obviously not going to get him in round 4. Okay, chat, we're going to have to wait for our late round QB draft strategy. It is what it is. Maybe the all-time move would be to go Jaden Daniels here and have the Washington quarterback quarterbacking the Philly weapons in our fantasy team just to mess with the NFC East fans in the chat. But I didn't plan it to go this way, chat. I don't think I've ever had a team that looks like this, but screw it. I know we've just jinxed the Eagles now. If this was a real fantasy team, they would definitely miss the playoffs or have the worst seasons they've had this decade. But we've got Hurts, Barkley, and A.J. Brown, and guess what? You look at it and you go, it's kind of stacked. It is kind of stacked as well, too. Do we just go Devontae Smith? People are definitely going to think we're an Eagles fan in the chat, so that's not ideal. Should we change our name to I'm not an Eagles fan, I'm just taking the best value available? Just to clear the air a little bit. Fortunately, Devontae Smith's at least 8 AP is not in this range at this point. So wait, RB2s. We're still that H-hand on the... Maybe if Hubbard starts to slide a little bit. I guess we were eyeing Henderson. So, like, I guess, you know, we were maybe joking a little bit, but I'm not against it. I'm not against going Henderson and GT for our perfect team for 2020. I guess that's the real term for it, right? Because week to week you go the perfect team. So if we're trying to go... I guess, you know, we're trying to be cute with, like, who is the team that can assemble to win the championship. Nah, chat, screw it. They're the highest scoring guys for each spot. Hey, yo, GT and Henderson are going to be RB 1 and 2 at the end of this year. So I guess that is the point of the drafting a little bit because, you know, you might not be able to draft the RB 1 and 2 just because they may project out similarly and not be available just on terms of, you know, where you're picking. So you can obviously still win a draft with the number 3 RB and the number 7 RB and the number 5 receiver. Yeah, you just having a good team. But whatever the best perfect lineup is, I guess we're still trying to figure that term out. So Henderson is slowly making his way as well too. Kittle, Laporta. To be honest, you know, Laporta's kind of fun for sure. Let's see if we can go for all the tight ends here. Bowers and McBride 1 and 2 does make sense. Those would be some of the more fun guys. You've got Kittle getting the respect over Laporta. But otherwise, I think Warren, again, you just go the younger tight ends. Bowers, McBride, just go Warren. You know, Laporta, like we're saying, and Hawkinson as well, too, for sure. I mean, we don't want to write off Hawkinson. Kelsey's going to probably be 700, 800 yards, maybe. What was he last year? as well. Okay, wait, we're on the clock. What Eagles receiver can we take? Where's Jahan Dotson as well? Wait, we don't want to show drafted. Oh, we've got Mike Evans on the board. Our Zay Flowers. Our guy DK. Is he going to be in our ideal fantasy lineup? I don't know if I can quite commit that much. Okay, there is Henderson. So this is round 4. We've gotten him twice in round 4 as well. I think Henderson may be a little gettable, chat. So we go Henderson. We're going to go in pen, but in pencil, I guess, technically. And see if we do a couple more drafts and find somebody in that range that we kind of like a little bit more, then obviously we'll replace him. But for now, Henderson is feeling like a really nice 4th to 5th round target. Harrison Jr. is up for a potential year as well. We could try the Calvin Ridley addition to the lineup. I don't know. Calvin Ridley, A.J. Brown. Something about that doesn't quite seem... A.J. Brown and Marvin Harrison seems cool. Or we could go to that Chiefs offense, like we were saying as well, too. Let's go Marvin Harrison Jr. here. And just, again, wide receiver 2. We don't necessarily need to see him have the full emergence upside-wise the same type of way that you would have last year when he was being like a top 12 fantasy pick almost. You know, high first round, early second round. Or, you know, later first round, early second round type pick. I don't know if, again, 5th round, he's going to be an ideal guy, but I do think that that was some good value. That was one of the guys I liked of the options that we had there. Worthy, you know, again, we got him a little bit later in the draft, so I don't know if this is just going to be the way that it's just happening tonight, and because, again, he's in a good offense. In real fantasy drafts, he'll probably be targeted a little bit more. So maybe we do honestly kind of think of Worthy in that spot as well, too. Rice's name is just continues to sit there as well. And he doesn't have an injury indicator. So is he going to be ready for week 1? Hey, yo. Rice is expected to be fully healthy prior to week 1 and will be featured target on the field. He has wide receiver 1 upside. Hey, yo, thanks, ESPN. So, hey, yo, if Rice is going to be healthy for week 1, again, the playoff possession receiver ability that he can bring to the team is definitely very, very valuable. But that could be interesting for Worthy's fantasy value there as well, too. And like we said in a couple drafts, you know, we took Michael Wilson. I do like Michael Wilson. McBride is obviously a guy that could take some targets and some yards. But you do expect, if the Arizona offense is clicking, that the opportunity is there for Harrison Jr. as well, too. So I actually do, I'm talking myself into that pick for this team for sure. But just in theory, as a mid-round guy, he is, I guess, in where he's kind of fallen as well, too, because him and Garrett Wilson, you know, are definitely the younger, again, guys that were projected very highly at one point in their career. Again, we got the DK Metcalf, Cortland Sutton, Mike Evans, veteran guys in that type of mix. McLaurin as well. So McLaurin's got the good offense continuation, and you know he was in trade request for last year. So just because he was in trade request this year, there is still obviously very great potential that he can have fantasy production, even still. But with the way he's projected to continue, with the way he was projected, of course, earlier on, you would imagine that the value of finding him with some guys where, and Sutton does have the young quarterback, so maybe Metcalf's the one guy that we have to actually move down this list. But I don't know. I think, you know, there could be a diversity to that offense. That could definitely happen where Sean Payton's dialing plays up for other guys. Nix is spreading the ball around a little bit. Maybe we trust him to actually, again, go through his reads, hang in the pocket a little bit longer, actually diversify the offense like we're saying, compared to Rodgers. So I never want to draft that way, where you're taking the bad team, the guy on this bad team has to get volume. But a lot of times, too, there is a little bit of maybe the guy as well can be a little bit older, where, again, the team has kind of passed him by, too. But, you know, I'm saying that DK could still have a decent season. So we're leading DK Metcalf for our ideal lineup, subconsciously. I guess, let's see, we need a running back. Tyler Warren, we're still 2 rounds away. RJ Harvey, if we want to go for a bit of a upside swing here. Pollard, in that, Pollard, we did have Pollard last year, and he was definitely very, very productive. I don't remember if he had a start like the end of the year. I remember exactly the ebbs and flows of his season. But yeah, 1,000-yard rusher. He was 1,000-yard rusher, only 5 touchdowns. That's definitely going to hurt from a running back standpoint as well too. Not necessarily able to have those extra points because he did have a lot of those touchdowns early. So early, and early last year, it's like, okay, if you're not able to continue to have a great season, then what does that mean? But he was through these first 5 games here, let me sort through these averages. 67 yards a game and a touchdown basically every other game. So he was on pace for 1,100 yards and 10 touchdowns. And then was still able to have some big yardage games as well too. 128 versus New England, 119 versus Houston, 102 versus Jacksonville. But again, the Titans just weren't able to find the end zone with Will Levis. Oh, chat, we're on the clock. We're going to auto-pick. Who did we just auto-pick? We auto-picked another Eagle. Devontae Smith. Oh, no, chat. Hey, yo. We didn't expect this to happen, but I guess we're just going with the team we've committed. So here, we got to queue up the Washington guy. We're going 3 rookie running backs for our ideal lineup. I think that's what's going to end up happening. Dobbins and Harvey. I would assume that, especially by the end of the year, Harvey would be a definitive number 1 guy. Scadaboo and Tracy could be a bit of a battle. Wait, did Harvey just get picked? What just happened? He did get picked. Hey, yo. Do we have to do a quick RJ Harvey Google? Is he the projected Denver starter right now? Or do they have Dobbins in that role? Again, it doesn't really mean much, especially... Well, shout out to Dobbins. Dobbins is really good. So, if anything, that is obviously, again, a really good running back room, for sure. But from a fantasy standpoint, who knows if it's a little questionable. Sam Ellinger is the backup to Bo Nix. It's kind of fun. Oh, I forgot they had Hufanga as a safety. Oh, chat. That may have just completely turned us back. That just bought us in on the Broncos even more. Hufanga? Hey, yo. Dobbins is the projected starter right now, but Harvey, like we're saying, could definitely be the year 1 guy, but maybe there's a balance there throughout the course of the year where Harvey's a little bit more like a 3rd round pick next year, 4th round pick in that type of range. But middle of the draft, 7th round pick is still definitely kind of valuable for sure. So 7th, 8th round, we definitely have to start targeting Tyler Warren. So yeah, we do have him on our ideal list. Maybe even, 6th round. If you really want to go for it, if you really think he's going to have a great year. But again, positional value. We've got Loveland as a 6th round pick. You start going the Tony Pollard running back, Xavier Worthy, Pickens. Just get a guy that is going to play. At the end of the day, it's like honestly building a real team at that point. If you have a couple of guys, you're like, I don't know if I need Pollard, but I feel like I kind of need a running back. Like, let me just take him. And again, I'm buying in on Pollard, so I just drafted him. But the idea of taking Laporta in that spot is not bad either, because you just get a guy that is, again, he's going to be inserted in your lineup and probably going to be consistently giving you top end production over the course of the season as well too. And maybe we said this earlier, but I don't know if we have to look up Daniel Jones's history with tight ends. But again, he's got a really great weapon option here this year for a potential first tight end guy. So yeah, we've got definitely. I mean, again, our team is definitely shaping up. AJ Brown, Tyler Warren. Jawan Jennings is round 8, round 9 territory, I guess. At this point, we don't really need to keep drafting him because we've already, we've made the point that he is. If we were doing a real draft, obviously we're targeting him. He's on the watch list. We're taking him a couple rounds too early. It is what it is. Jennings versus Kupp as a wide receiver 2. Jennings versus, if you go Myers is the wide receiver 2 to Brock Bowers. I guess you could make that argument as well. We do have Warren on the board, Eckler, Dobbins as well. Yeah, this is a interesting stretch. We may go Keon Coleman here, honestly. Maybe we may be able to get Jennings a little bit later. So this is definitely the stretch where I just say go completely off the board. Just start taking random guys. There is a little bit of, a little bit of certainty with the top of the draft. It may not always be the number 1 guy is the number 1 guy, but again, a number 1 guy falling out of the top 15 is obviously really disastrous. So you know that there is a certain level of starterness to the top of the draft, but getting the guys that can take a hit, that are going to hit and take that extra step up is what we're looking for later in the draft. Of course, because I think sometimes you can get, at least for me as well, maybe, and it's a balance. You want to have a couple of guys that are, if I need to go to this guy, there's a baseline for sure, but also I want to take some swings. And so Devontae Smith maybe more of a baseline guy, but again, Keon Coleman, could he be the number one receiver in Buffalo? Definitely. So, the opportunity to have a potential number one receiver, yeah, I'll take that, because I feel like I can, again, get some veterans on the waiver wire throughout the course of the season as well, too. So don't be afraid to have a guy to necessarily stash on the bench as well. So maybe this is time to... We need to actually go to a draft where we end up with the later quarterback. But, again, I think the ultimate draft strategy is just kind of not... roll with the punches, but you got to some degree, just play the draft the way it plays out. And even if you go in predetermined to say, hey, this is my QB strategy, it's like, you know what? We have an opportunity to kind of stack some offenses here. And I get that's kind of how fantasy works. Like, there's a correlation. The best receivers are going to be playing. Is there a 20-team league? Did I just see a 20-team? I might need to try to... Can we... 18? 8:45? Let's go, chat. Let's see if we can get into this 18-team league. Is anybody even going to be signed up for this? Nobody wants to brave this league with us, chat. There's no way. We're going to be drafting against the computer in an 18-person league. This is definitely going to throw us off for... Well, this is going to be no fun at this point. Nobody's in this? Hey, yo, chat, what's going on? Nobody wants... I mean, it's a mock. Come on. Hey, yo, I get in real life, you're like, oh, my team's going to be no fun with 18 people. But for a mock draft, you can't test yourself? What's going on? Somebody join this 18-person mock and see if you're a real fantasy player. Hey, yo, chat, nobody's going to step up to the challenge. It is what it is. Well, I guess I'm going to not be a real fantasy player. I'm not going to draft it. Gets like an auto draft. That's no fun, chat. Hey, yo, it is what it is. So let's see if we can just get into a normal beginner 12, expert 8, beginner 10, expert 10, expert 12. Here we go. Let's see if we can get into... Oh, wait, this draft is in progress? Error occurred? Oh, it filled up. Okay. Let's see if we got another one here. Hey, pose. One. Oh, AM? What's going on? Wrong time. We can't just sit here and wait till 1:45 AM to do a mock? Or maybe we can, chat. Maybe we can. 10 minutes. Okay. Maybe we can wait that long. 20 team again? Expert 20 team? I mean, we can... Do we join this one in a separate tab? Okay, we'll open that in a separate tab and just... We'll be simultaneously drafting 2 teams. Here we go. Pro 12 team. Let's see if we can get into this one in time. Ayo, 3, 2, 1. Perfect, chat. The buzzer beater. Let's see where we're at. Ooh, kind of right in the middle. Okay, ayo. Pause. 12-teamer. This will be once... I think GT will be on the board here for this one. So we're in this 20-person league. I guess we can kind of have our... Oh, 10! We're right in the... Ayo, again, right in the middle. So we'll see if anybody is able to... If anybody is brave enough to jump into the 20-person mock. That's actually crazy. That's 2 leagues right there. This is like actually almost building a real NFL. This is real GMing at this point, chat, basically. If you can do a 20-person team fantasy mock, you're basically a real NFL GM. That's basically... I should get like a certificate, like GM approved, 20-team expert mock draft completed. So we might have to do the mock against the computer just for the certification of it, like we were saying. But yeah, at least we've got this 12-team one to have some people competitive with as well. So yeah, we've got. And I guess, Sutton does stand out a little bit in this receiver room as well, too. There is definitely some good options around him. Troy Franklin, I think, has that Bo Nix connection. And I, definitely like him as an NFL guy for sure. So I don't know what the year 1 grade is there. Maybe some blocking stuff, taking a couple of notches off the grade. But Mims as a weapon is definitely going to be valuable as well, too. And Evan Ingram at tight end is not a bad receiving option as well. Again, just in terms of a guy that could get 7 to 8, 900 yards and steal some fantasy points away from somebody, he could be a decent option. And to be honest, Evan Ingram as just an in general target is like kind of a sneaky. I might write his name down now, because him with the good quarterback, again, he's always kind of produced. I don't know if he's getting a little overdrafted, so we'll double check that here as well. Again, there's also kind of always been a hype around him as well. And again, for good reason. He's definitely a good player. Only 365 yards, but in 9 games last year, and 1 touchdown as well too. So wait, let's see. Yards per game. What does that put him at there, chat? Receiving. So 40 is a little bit lower than he, high end, obviously in the mid 50s. Oh, excuse me, for sure. But did have a run again, and I guess maybe health is a little bit of a concern as well too. But 600 yards, 700 yards, 900 yards, not necessarily heavy touchdowns, but if he is in a better offense, I guess maybe they're running the ball at the goal line is potentially the thing that does maybe take away from his production a little bit. But he is a late round guy that I would not necessarily feel bad about having to slot Evan Ingram in as a Tyler Warren substitute potentially as well. So maybe he's like a bench option guy. I don't know if we start going more upside then for tight end at that spot. But maybe tight end would be one where if Warren is not quite hitting or the Colts offense is just really taking a step back. Again, we do expect the Broncos, Sean Payton, that offense, at least we're buying in stock on a weapon on a good offense at that point. So you could buy in stock on a high-level player and maybe a little bit more baseline production. Oh, we've got one more person, chat. Shout out. One more person brave enough. One more person going for GM certification tonight. ESPN, just give us a 32-teamer. So let's see what happens. 20-team, open now. Ayo, pause. Let's see what happens. We got the 12-team. Okay, chat, we're going to have to simultaneously try to figure out 2 drafts. Maybe this will be real GM. Has any GM ever done an NBA and NFL draft at the same time? Ayo, chat, we're in uncharted territories. I guess, we're 2 fantasy. I wonder, DM us at Rem and Sam Pod, what's the most fantasy, I guess in real life as well, if you're just joining up a bunch of random leagues or in real life have simultaneously, oh, did we join an auction draft? Hey, yo, screw it, chat. I feel like that might take too much time, though. So, unfortunately, hey, yo, shout out to the Simmons Pod. We're booger eaters tonight, chat. It is what it is. We're sticking to the snake drafts for the consistency of the strategy's sake. I kind of want to go a 12-team, but we do have a bunch of 10-team. Oh, here we go, 12-team. So we will get into this one. So we're not going to be able to do the 2 drafts simultaneously, I guess, but we will be in the 20-person one while we wait for that. Oh, chat, and our other guy in here tapped out. Weak. It is what it is. It'll just be us versus the computer, so we're going to kind of know exactly who we're going to get. At least we're going to get GT. We might have, we could have moved up a couple of picks to definitely, lock that in. But I guess, will it mix up the auto? Okay, it'll mix up the auto draft a little bit. Shout out to the CPU. It's trying to make it entertaining for us. If it takes GT right before our spot, that would be tough. So Puka versus GT in a 20-teamer is, a little bit of a battle. But I feel like in a 20-team mock, we definitely need the running back. So let's take GT. We may be taking a quarterback early in this one as well, too. Oh, chat. That one doesn't have any roster spots left. Okay. We got to go to another one. It's okay. We've got a little bit of a second. We've got 40 picks. How many picks, chat? I can't even do the math. Oh, here, wait a second. Are we good to go? Yeah, I think we're in. Okay. Shout out. We've got the 10th pick in a 12-pick mock, so that will work great. Oh, chat, we're actually crushing through this draft. Round 2? Hey, yo, we're down to quarterback. Jaden Daniels. Can we get a receiver? Jackson Smith. We may have to go receiver hunting later in the draft. That's fine with me, chat. Nobody loves crate digging the receivers more than your boy. So, yeah, let's go quarterback. We can go Daniels, Burrow, Mahomes, Baker. We got Jaden Daniels and GT. Tight end is Bowers on the board. Bowers is definitely off the board at this point. Chase Brown's off the board. So, yeah, Bowers has to be off the board for sure. I feel good about our 20-team drafting strategy abilities. Did I get that right? Drafting strategy abilities? Yeah. There we go. Jaden Daniels. Couple of young studs to build around. Harrison Jr. off the board. So if we want to go receiver to build a consistent roster, we are, Calvin Ridley, like we were saying, if we want to take that route. Zay Flowers has been a fantasy stud. Zay Flowers is going to start to enter fantasy panic territory for us, where we just end up in the drafts in these spots and we go, who do we take? We're taking Zay Flowers. I mean, it's happening right now, chat. Zay Flowers, Daniels, GT, Zay Flowers. Maybe we go tight end in a 20-person spot there. I don't know. Laporta. Yeah, Zay Flowers. That's a good pick. Another running back. Montgomery. Pollard. Yeah, I'm fine with Zay Flowers, to be honest. That is not worrying me a ton. So I guess Travis Hunter is going to be off the board. Harvey, this is going to be too intense to try to keep up with. I guess we could go through those player odds while we wait. Oh, we could get Harvey right here. Harvey, Jacoby Myers, Golden. I guess, Tyler Warren's going to go off the board sooner in this mock than he is in the other ones. Tyler Warren might be our next pick, but round 5, that might not be too bad. We've got Harvey, and we've got still a bunch of veteran receivers unless we go Golden. So, yeah, let's just go Harvey and lock in the 2 rookie running backs, continuing with our strategy. So maybe do we just kind of get the second best rookie running back score or the best rookie running back score? Like we lock GT in at our RB1 spot and then just say take a rookie running back at the second spot as well? And then whoever does good, we take credit for pointing them out because we said take 2 rookie running backs, or take another rookie running back to pair with GT. And we could go Scattaboo at this point. Wait, did our guy Tyler Warren go off the board? Oh, chat! We barely got him. So this is actually a kind of a turning into a balanced team. We get the second receiving threat with Warren. Again, I don't know the upside of Warren and Zay Flowers. There is a little, 14, 20 points a week between those 2 guys potential sometimes. There's a little low-end potential for sure on some certain weeks. But there is, I think the end of the season, it could all work out. Again, Flowers can be one of those guys that really, really has the good weeks that propel his total points forward. But, ooh, Debo. Oh, Jennings. We just missed out on Jennings. So this maybe, 20-teamer could have been a Fields draft as well, too. But I like getting that quarterback earlier on. I guess Debo's our auto pick. I don't mind that. We're pro Debo Samuel here. I think wide receiver 2 is a little rich. Mooney, Leggett, Jaden Reed. Oh, it's going to have to be Debo checks. We just have to make a pick. And he was going to be our auto pick anyways. Burden would have been interesting there, or Wilson. But, it is, question mark guys, of course, all the way around at this point. So, deep, wide receiver is a little weak, unfortunately, in the 20-person mock, I think. But if we compared it to some of the, let's see what the other teams look like. Did this guy actually make any picks? Drake May, Achan, Pacheco, McLaurin, Rice, Ferguson. Oh, Chad, I like our team more than that. We can get Leggett here. We can go another running back. Oh, we can go our guy Benson, Jaden Blue, or, Najee Harris on the Chargers. Hey, yo. Ray Davis, Shipley. Our guy Brian Robinson's available, obviously. Let's go Benson. We talked about him. We talked about Connor as a guy that you don't want to count out. But Benson is high on the list for stash guys. So maybe that's the bench. Because maybe we don't necessarily go lock in again. I guess Jawan Jennings, maybe we did lock him in as a wide receiver 2 flex option. But maybe we don't go Jalen Waddle is a guy that you want to have on your bench, or some guy that's a little more notable. Again, a guy that's kind of needs a pathway to clear a little bit for him to get some more consistent production. But yeah, he's definitely a guy that we could put in that mix as well too. And Braylon Allen is on our board. So stacking up on running backs is actually kind of working out in this draft. And all the receivers are kind of feeling, get Lockett, Dobbs, Joshua Palmer tier down here, Deontay Johnson. Hey, yo, we're going to auto-draft the Bills defense. Let's go Braylon Allen in that spot and see what we've got. So we didn't necessarily take a guy to satisfy our receiver worries, and they put Benson in the flex instead of Braylon Allen. Shout out to Braylon Allen, but they just benched him right away. But again, both those guys are not necessarily locked in starters, so there is a little bit of what ifness for the bench that may work in terms of us taking a swing there. Okay, we've got a couple of minutes to go before that one. So let's see if we can find some of these player performance over-unders here real fast and see if there's some actual value we can get besides the fantasy value as well. Oh, chat, we're back on the clock. We're going to take Cairo Santos. We need a kicker. We need more receivers as well. Wandale Mims. Chat. Oh, wait, we auto-picked. Hey, yo. It is what it is. Okay, I think we've probably gotten enough good picks out of the 20-person mock for now. But let's just make sure we got, okay, still a couple minutes before we get to that 12-person one there. So if we go for some of these player futures here, let's see where G&T's at. I'm assuming he's going to be in the 1,000-yard range, but are we going to, like, 1,200 on the over-under would be pretty high, I feel like, for a rookie. But I also, again, wouldn't be shocked. I guess it would be more their offense compared to some of the offense. Like, you feel like, again, Bijan's just going to get all those carries. For some reason, I don't know if, again, as a rookie, like when he was being drafted, like Gibbs, he had Montgomery there, so there was a little bit of, I don't know if he's going to get the, RB1 usage right away. That made sense for people not necessarily hyping up in Robinson the same way. And then, of course, Robinson had to, battle it out with Algier there for a second as well, too. And Algier was good there for a couple of weeks, so it definitely made sense. But then at some point, it's like, yeah, you got to, play Robinson as well, too. So I guess season leaders is interesting as well. Do they just have passing available? Oh, wait, here we go. Receiving yards and rushing yards. So Barkley still projected, still favored to lead in rushing yards. Henry second, Bijan third. So G&T right now, 18-1 to lead the league in rushing yards. Again, as a rookie, if he led the league in rushing yards year 2, year 3, and year 4, I mean, obviously all-time great stuff, but I don't know if we'd be shocked about it as well. But if you went through the, like, I guess McCaffrey, maybe is he the sort of unofficial cutoff for if he's healthy? He could obviously do it, but who knows if he's healthy. But if you go for the Achane, Bucky Irving, G&T Jacobs, Kyron Williams tier, even though maybe Jacob, I guess Kyron Williams still, in the same tier, and then it would drop off a little bit to Chua Hubbard. Of those guys, Achane, Irvin, G&T, Jacobs, Kyron, I would say G&T has the best chance to put up the most yards of those guys. Maybe Bucky Irving gets the most touchdowns as well. I don't know if he leads the league in rushing touchdowns, because I guess Rashad White was the one that had a bunch of touchdowns in that Bucs offense. So a little bit of copy and paste of that if we're thinking from a betting standpoint. But he would be at, he's down even a little bit more, 30-1. And I guess he would be more all-purpose as well, too. You could see maybe get some receiving touchdowns in there. But I guess Rashad White, again, was the receiver to get that all-purpose. Maybe Bucky Irving would actually get the rushing touchdowns. Jalen Hurts is an interesting one. Again, he's 8-1, but him leading is kind of fun as just a quarterback. Josh Allen as well, too. If we're thinking, a quarterback is going to lead the league in rushing, then he is obviously one that could be open. Oh, chat! Hopefully we're not missing the draft. We're auto-picking and immediately destroying our strategies here. Let's see. Oh, okay, perfect. It's pick 4. Saquon's off the board. Oh, wait, pick 2? Pick 3? Well, I don't even know who's off the board. Saquon, Jahmyr Gibbs. We got to catch up. I don't think that this is caught up yet either. Oh, it's just going to show us the picks that we've made. Of course, I guess, yeah. We know who's off the board at this point. Jamar Chase. All those guys. So pick 10. I guess we could potentially, again, get Puka here. But G&T is going to be our guy. So it's official, chat. We've taken G&T enough times. He is RB1 on our perfect team. The rookie running back is a stereotype of the Rem and Sam pod draft strategy for fantasy. So it makes sense. Tune in next year for whoever the number 1 running back is in the draft. We're taking him in fantasy high again. It is what it is. So Puka off the board a little early. CeeDee Lamb as well too. Neighbors, and again, if we're going the DK path, obviously he's being drafted for the usage as well too. But his explosiveness as a creator, just with the ball, his yards after the catch, I think ability is a little bit more elite than DK as well too. DK is obviously awesome before the catch, can get some, down the field, and it's just a terrifying presence. But I think Neighbors is a little bit more creative as a runner as well. But we might be able to get him at 15, to be honest. I guess I wasn't necessarily thinking about a choice between him and A.J. Brown because, again, the drafting stuff is him a little bit higher. But that would obviously be great. I'm down to take Neighbors in that spot as well, too. There is injury stuff as well, so I could just panic. A.J. Brown, at least he's going to play 13 games. That is something, honestly. And he does seem to be there at the end of the year. Brian Thomas, man, I love Brian Thomas, but I just want to see what's going to happen with Trevor Lawrence there. Are they going to be looking for a quarterback replacement, or are we going to be, deep sigh of relief that Trevor Lawrence is a franchise guy again? But Nico Collins is definitely the debate. So it's between Nico Collins and A.J. Brown. Oh, we're going to get Jetta? Jetta falls in this draft? Well, I guess we have to take Jetta here. I mean, now they're making us doubt. I guess we have to look into injuries and McCarthy and all that different stuff. But, yeah, we'll just take Justin Jefferson, and I guess that will be fine. 18 picks for our next spot. Are we going to get Malik Neighbors too? Hey, yo. But maybe we just go A.J. Brown once again as our fantasy wide receiver 1, I guess. He is kind of a second-round guy. Drake London's definitely a little more. You can definitely get him in the second round probably. But, yeah, screw it, chat. Let's go A.J. Brown is our wide receiver. So I don't know if we got Jennings in the slot or Jennings in the flex or Jennings as our wide receiver too. But for now, A.J. Brown is definitely going to be our, I guess, wide receiver 1. Even though, again, we got Jetta in this draft. But that just would be, whatever it is. But to be honest, again, with the question marks in McCarthy, I would not be, if we took A.J. Brown in that spot, I would not be against it. So that goes to the, McCarthy is definitely the reason that Jefferson's sliding. But we've seen him play good with other receivers as well. And you also have Addison, or other quarterbacks. And you also have Addison suspended. So they're going to need to rely on him maybe a little bit as well. So, to get him in that, to get him in the second is obviously crazy. Did we take GT over Jefferson? Hey, yo, we're honestly bad at fantasy chat. We weren't even paying attention there. We just got GT locked in. We should have taken Jefferson. Well, the running back, because at that point we do go to Achane, Kyron, Bucky. So I guess, yeah, the play is to take the running back and, yeah, take the receiver. We got lucky that it was Jefferson. But like I say, we have Nico Collins and Devontae Adams and some other guys to choose from as well, too. So take the player that you like, even if Jefferson is a little bit more valued there. We're on the turn at that spot. So is what it is. But the third round pick now is the part where we have to resist the quarterback. We have to resist the urge, chat. I guess Lamar is off the board. Okay. Wait a second. Is he? I guess we got to scroll down in the draft here. Josh Allen is off the board. The quarterbacks are starting to go. So if Jalen Hurts goes off the board, that's going to make it a lot easier if there's a run on quarterbacks. Kind of, forcing us to look that way. Receivers, we are going to get London potentially. We've got McLaurin, London, McConkey. So Jennings would be a good wide receiver too, but round 3 could be our Henderson spot, We just take Henderson a little bit early. Wait, how many picks do we have between our spot? 4 picks? So yeah, again. So if you're on the turn, I guess maybe the strategy is running back first, then receiver in general, and lean rookie running back if you have the opportunity to. Because then in that 4th round pick, because we're not going quarterback. So I guess our strategy has been to take a quarterback and then double back and take Henderson, which, to be honest, may end up being right. If you can get Hurts or Lamar or one of those guys in the 3rd, or Josh Allen, of course, then you kind of have to take it. I'm not against taking Burrow as well, but I do like the dual threatness, which is why, of course, we're going to target Fields a little bit later. But then, again, Stroud kind of becomes discount Fields or discount Burrow in this situation of being the pass-heavy guy in the mix with these dual threat quarterbacks as well. So, yeah, we may go Henderson here and then
and then take the receiver of our choice on the next pick. So I do kind of like I think we may take Fields a couple rounds early just to be safe. And again, Connor is a very safe veteran. I think Connor's probably going to be a top 15 fantasy running back. Kamara, when he plays, still pops, but the Saints offense is something that I think, again, is on the stay away list. So Henderson in this spot feels good. We've got G.T. Henderson and Jefferson as our top 3. And now we have our pick of receivers. We may miss out on McConkey, but McLaurin we still like in this spot. Devontae Adams, again, across from Puka. I think Puka's going to get the bulk of the fantasy points there. But Mike Evans, if we take him in a real league, then he's definitely not going to get 1,000 yards. He'll definitely break the streak. So maybe for Jerry Rice's sake, we draft Mike Evans. I don't know. Jackson Smith is not going to be bad as well, too. So Ladd did go. That would have been a perfect draft if we got Ladd and Jefferson. Hey, yo, that would have been crazy. Maybe we just go Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill here in the 4th round and just go with the veteran guys. Well, we queued him up. What just happened? Is he going to get auto-drafted? I don't think so. So we got McLaurin. We've got Hill. We've got Marvin Harrison Jr. Ooh, this is a good stash of guys, though, to have with that running back. Because to be honest, if our running back room hits and we've got Jefferson, we just need some decent production. So we could go Worthy. Let's go McLaurin in this spot because we took Harrison Jr. before, and I guess we've taken Worthy as well, too. And we don't want to jinx Mike Evans. So I know this is not how you do real fantasy drafts, but between McLaurin and Marvin Harrison, again, I would lean into the little bit better quarterback situation of Jaden Daniels. So having him as a wide receiver too as well, like again with Marvin Harrison Jr., is not bad. And let's do a little PFF check on where they had McLaurin last year. Did the individual talent plays line up with the ability to get production from Jaden Daniels? And it does, yeah, 16th on the PFF grade. And, having a good quarterback is going to help, but it doesn't always correlate to where, Marvin Harrison obviously wasn't getting Jaden Daniels level production at the quarterback spot, but we assume that he'll be okay at quarterback production next year. And I guess he was 27th, honestly, on kind of a limited year. That is encouraging. So wait, let's go back to his stat. Was he 1,000 yards last year? If he somehow got to the 1,000-yard threshold, to be honest, the fact that he's not popping up this quickly in a Harrison search is a little bit concerning. It is a stacked last name for sure. So let's see. Was he at the 885 in 62? Oh, 8 touchdowns, though. So a little bit of a touchdown getter. Hey, yo, maybe we make Marvin Harrison our number 2 guy. Oh, that's our 20-team mock at this point. And he is sliding in the draft as well. So I'm not against the visual McLaurin. Like we said, he's going to produce, even you would assume, not just because of the trade request is not going to be the thing, again, I should say, that keeps him from having fantasy production. But if we continue to trend to lean with the projectability as well, too. If we're going, ideally, again, a guy like A.J. Brown or Justin Jefferson, a little bit more, they're in that McLaurin range of, like, guys at the peak of their powers, and obviously, maybe a little bit of a step up as well, too. But in terms of the timeline of it, maybe we just don't got 2 guys in the same timeline. Maybe with the rookies, that's okay. But with the receivers, maybe we go a little bit of a primetime guy like Jefferson, and then Marvin Harrison Jr., or again, Xavier Worthy, like we were saying as well, in that spot, the upside. So I don't know, Worthy versus McLaurin. I think I would probably take McLaurin as well, but you could see a little bit of a revenge tour for the Chiefs this year. I don't know if they're going to have, Super Bowl hangover is going to be interesting. Do they have Super Bowl hangover? They've lost some Super Bowls in the past and bounced back, so it's not something that we think about with the team. But as the team moves into a different spot, who knows? He was at 48th last year as a rookie. Is definitely not bad from a PFF standpoint. So he does go. There's a run on Chiefs, chat. We've got the Pacheco and Worthy. Back-to-back picks. So we could go Rice as well, too. We need to program our minds to remember that Rashee Rice is on the fields this year, because he is definitely one of our guys. So I might definitely take him with, like, the next pick on the turn We've got Ridley, and maybe this is the spot where we start thinking quarterback as well too. Let's see. Bo Nix, Murray. We could probably wait the next cycle of picks for quarterback, tight end if we really want to risk it. So let's go Harvey here, chat. We go 3 rookie running backs. We've got Harvey, Jeanty, and Henderson. Our strategy of take the running back that you like and then take the receiver, I think, is actually going to be a winning one. And again, it's a little bit different if you're in the more toward the middle, but if you're on the first pick, eventually that strategy will work into play when you go back for that second and third, then through the rest of the draft. The longest, you won't get the double picks, of course, first, but you will eventually have to consider that strategy as the draft plays out. So Ridley's probably, we could see Pollard's off the board, Hawkinson off the board. So round 6, maybe we do go our guy Tyler Warren here. We've got a few spots to go before we get to our next pick. So it's going to be Warren versus Rice. Oh, Jamison Williams, Pickens, Adunze, Devontae Smith, Waddle, McLaurin. We might have to go Williams here. Who knows what happens with Goff, and Ben Johnson and that whole thing. Or Rice, chat. Hey, we don't know who to pick. Let's go Williams. Rice off the injury. Williams had a season removed from that. So there may be a little bit more instant return to health for him this year. And he could be the rookie if McLaurin is a little up and down, potentially to take that spot as well. And then if Rice falls, we can say, oh, there we go. He's off the board. So he's not going to happen. But now we're going Tyler Warren for that 7th, 8th round spot. Though, I think real draft strategy, Tyler Warren round 6. I'm going to panic, chat, and take Tyler Warren round 6 is maybe where it goes. Though we can't forget about Juwan Jennings. Again, we do have to try to, be in a get your guys real mindset type way. But he is down a bit too. So we may be able to he may be a round 9 type guy the next turn after the tight end. Or maybe we go tight end Jennings and then try to take a quarterback. We'll see, I guess, how the other people are drafting when we get to that time as well, too, because if there's a run on quarterbacks, we maybe need to just snatch up Fields and get our guy. But, yeah, the running back room played out like we like it. Harvey, I guess, goes on as a potential flex option. And I'm definitely all in on putting Jamison Williams on our ideal roster as well, too. But again, the Lions are sort of a mid-tier team this year that I want to get in on. I guess Gibbs is always going to be a guy that is going to produce. Let's see here. Williams, 34th on the PFF grade. He does seem, again, he had the dynamic speed and the verticality. He's going to be a crazy weapon, especially since they have the possession guy in Amon-Ra St. Brown. But it did seem like he had a little bit of that wide receiver 1 upside as well, too, and could potentially still continue to grow into that role for sure. But does seem a little limited vertical threat type way. So again, perfect for us. He's on the bench, could be a flex guy. We basically, get to benefit off of his upside on this team at this point. But in terms of what he could have been, I guess, in the real NFL, it does seem like there is a little bit of a step back from that. So you go maybe a Buka could be a more complete receiver, McMillan, Rashee Rice again. But Jamison Williams' just ability to get big plays. And that is the problem from a fantasy standpoint as well, too, is he is maybe a guy that, again, because of the vertical big play nature of his game, he's going to have games where he's going to be awesome, but maybe other games where he doesn't quite have the same level of, big strike ability because he doesn't have that all-around same receiver stuff like we were saying as well. So, yeah, we definitely round 7 are going Tyler Warren here. There is no debate. And then we still haven't quite had the quarterback start to go. We did have Murray go. We did have Bo Nix go. But just because we have all of our starters selected, if there's another flex guy we really like the potential of, we could go Hunter just for the funness of it. We need people. We need eyeballs, season ticket holders for our fantasy team. So we can get Travis Hunter, help with the season ticket holder value there. Like I said, Evan Ingram as a bench guy backup is another watch list guy as well too. And we forgot about our guy Jennings. Hey, yo, But because we have the receivers, like we said, we need the quarterback. So Herbert, fantasy-wise, I know the Chargers with Harbaugh and Greg Roman may lean a little run heavy, but you're paying for that in the draft as well, too. So a later draft value guy, he was another one as well. Again, Marvin Harrison Jr.-esque, where, I mean, Herbert was a guy you were taking in the third round a couple of years ago. It's like he's going to throw for 5,000 yards and 50 touchdowns. And now it's really just an offensive thing that is, moves him back. He's still, the talent's still there, ability to put up the stats for sure. But wait, one more check of the flex. It really is, basically, we want Travis Hunter or a quarterback at this point. Should we risk it, chat? Hey, yo, you only live once, chat. We've been watching the Fast and Furious franchise a quarter mile at the time. Let's see if we get a quarterback in the turn. We'll risk it and go one more run and see if we get a quarterback. But really, we should have just locked into the guy that we want there. And if we're targeting Fields, we should have taken Fields. If you're targeting Prescott as the later round guy, then just get the guy, again, as the starter. Because we have even another receiver that could potentially be in line to get spots over Travis Hunter as well too. And again, as a rookie, we really don't know what his role is and really don't know how his production is going to line up next to Brian Thomas. But no Evan Ingram, again, as much as Travis Hunter would still be this year more projectably talented than Evan Ingram, the immediate year one production, maybe Evan Ingram is that go-to number 2 guy next to Brian Thomas as well too, and then Travis Hunter a number 3 guy in year one. But he could be a number 2 guy as well. I mean, obviously, we're not doubting that. So let me see who their tight end is, just in case they didn't get like a crazy upgrade in that spot, even though, obviously, who would that be at this point? They didn't get Tyler Warren. So, Cole Strange, Brenton Strange. Definitely a guy that could, again, hold down that spot for sure. And, De'Ami Brown, that's right. Another fun guy on the field to help with the offense. But Fields is still going to be on the board. And Drake May with the running stuff. Again, if Fields was to get snagged here, a late round quarterback, I would not be upset with taking Drake May. But weirdly, I do wonder if, because of the limitedness, like Fields maybe is a little limited with the turnovers this year. I have a vibe that maybe that happens. Maybe he doesn't have 35 passing touchdowns, but he could be a 18 passing touchdown, 4 interception type year, and then again also have 10 rushing touchdowns, 12 rushing touchdowns on top of that, and be really high in that category. I guess we are really relying on him to move the offense. Then in that case, he's going to need to get to the goal line for sure. He could have 800 rush yards though as well. So I am liking this potential outcome, but I'm not necessarily sold on this being better than the version of the team we got, where we got, because basically we switched out Hurts or Lamar or whatever for McLaurin at that spot. Or I guess we took McLaurin in the third, right? So wait, Fields, okay, he's still on the board. Oh, Jennings did get picked in round 8. So yeah, we may have had to have gone a Jennings instead of Travis Hunter spot for real strategy, if we want to actually lock him in as a guy you want to have on your team. Because as much fun as I have had seeing Travis Hunter in our lineups, I am just a little bit more mentally, I feel like that's a little bit safer pick, Juwan Jennings. And again, I'm a safety versus upside, but Juwan Jennings is our guy this year. So we are taking Fields, Gene T. Henderson, McLaurin, Warren, Harvey. It's not bad, chat. And again, the value of QB is pretty good if you're looking in that 8 to 9 range. Herbert, I think Williams is going to have a good fantasy season. The turnovers would be the thing, and the sacks as well, that could potentially take away the points. But I do think there's going to be a yards and touchdowns thing there for him for sure. So I don't know, again, the negative, if he's a little Barry Sanders, the negative points kind of bring him back down the list. Jordan Love, fantasy. Yeah, he could be really good fantasy as well, too. McCarthy. And our guy Stroud is so down the list, we keep forgetting about him. That's actually crazy, chat, that he's getting drafted that low. We could have waited another round for Herbert. I don't even know. In real life, or I guess people are drafting him, not necessarily drafted him super high tonight, but in real drafts, are people actually just waiting on Stroud that much? That is kind of wild to see. So I imagine he'll be back in the mix next year as well too. Downs, Higgins, Thielen, Leggett is also on the board here as well. So we could go here. Let's take a quick look at running back. We did take our guy Tyler Warren. Do we just go Evan Ingram? Or maybe Benson. We did say Benson was a stash guy we did like for this year. So let's take Trey Benson. Let's actually make sure that Arizona... I feel like teams do draft running backs every year. Of course, you're going to have committees. So you're not just like, well, we've got 2 running backs. We're good to go. But is there another guy that could immediately jump up over Benson as well? DeMercado has played a little bit. Michael Carter's been feisty, on the Jets. DJ Dallas feels like he's always a guy that could start. Zonovan Knight as well has had some big games. So it's another running back room with some, all these guys are playing. So just like I had him on my fantasy team at some point. All these running backs are, subbing in and out for each other at some point. But I could see Benson. Let's double check. Has he got a good grade? 60, it's okay. I guess I don't know if any of these other backups are really crazy. DeMercado, not bad. Zonovan Knight, is he a sleeper? I guess he's not listed for anything last year. But of, I guess, the backup guys, him and Charbonnet are kind of classic as well, too. White, I think he could be a 2-flex league, maybe potential guy if the Bucs offense is really just clicking. And I'm not against, Najee Harris is not a bad stash guy as well, too. I did see a stat that was like, he's the only running back to have 1,000 yards in each of the last, was it like 4 or 5 seasons in a row? So he can give you a baseline of production. I think the Chargers have a lot of guys, so he's probably not going to get the usage to get 1,000 yards, the opportunity that has been there for him for the Steelers. But Hampton, I don't think has been a lock guy. They do have Haskins as well too, and Miller Hines. So he could be a guy that takes some of those third down looks away as well too. But Warren had been taking a little bit of those away from Harris there. Maybe Haskins takes away some of the first and second down work. But don't sleep on, I guess, the injury. How long is he out for, chat? Let's take a look and see. Estimated return. So he might be ready for the start of the season. Harris has ranked in the top 20 to 30. But even if he splits carries with Hampton, he'll be hard-pressed to produce consistent flex numbers. Fantasy ESPN is not high on the Najee Harris season. But I guess we're talking more end of the draft, I'm not saying, like, draft him 2 spots too early. But he's a guy that more so I think nobody's going to want to take. And if you're just, like, your last pick, let me take a swing and just hold on to a guy. Maybe he's getting 8 carries a game. Like, could be Najee Harris at some point as well, too. So Braylon Allen, Trey Benson. Jalen Wright's another one as well. Mostert continues to just never be healthy, and maybe the same with Achane. So I could see Jalen Wright getting like 6 weeks of pretty good carries at some point. That's honestly the thing. It's like, can I have the running back that just at some point in the season they just randomly have 6 weeks where they're playing, and I'm getting their minutes at that time. So let's see. Do we have time, chat? Let's go one more fantasy draft and see if we can actually go with our strategy that we have kind of acquired and see what happens when we put our team to the test. So we don't really have a full team yet. I still am probably just going to... Maybe Jennings would be a good wide receiver too. We go with the quarterback and then just say Jennings and then some of those rookie swings as well. But then we kind of lean... That would kind of just trend us away from those running backs that we like for sure. So let's go beginner 12 team. Expert 10 team. Oh, we're back in the salary caps. Hey, yo, we're a booger eater, chat. We got to go to the snake drafts. I guess 10 team is what we've got as our options right now. Oh, expert 10 team. We got an expert one. We will have to go with 10. Did we join in time? Perfect. Ooh, pick 5, chat. Maybe Saquon. So is it really just Saquon or G&T? We maybe have to consider a receiver or Puka. So Puka or G&T, we take G&T at 5th. Just shock everybody. Why not, chat? Why not? I guess A.J. Brown would be a little bit of a reach at that point. We've brainwashed ourselves by having later first-round picks But like I've said, I'm never against taking the rookie running back this early as well. So wait, Gibbs. If Gibbs is on the board, Gibbs is gonna be in that panic tier. I could just see myself panicking and taking Gibbs every year when we actually get to. And the Lions offense does score. That is a thing that does help. They do get in the end zone. I know the Eagles offense doesn't struggle with that. And like we said, we were buying stock in the Falcons offense, so I don't imagine the Falcons offense could struggle with that as well too. Maybe they would be struggling more to stop people than score, But the Lions, maybe if they're not as high powered, 15 touchdowns for Gibbs, 12 touchdowns is like even a step back at this point from what he did last year. Yeah, Bijan was 1,800 yards and 15 touchdowns in the Falcons offense last year. Holy cow. So, yeah, you can understand that with Penix in the mix, what could that assume? I guess maybe the question, should we be thinking more 2,000 yards for Bijan? Wait, so he's 12-1 to lead the league in rushing touchdowns. I guess that is interesting. Again, Penix, could he get some passing touchdowns? But Hurts and Barkley could split. Same with Henry and Lamar, but they do utilize Henry a little bit more. Maybe Henry and Keaton Mitchell more so. And I'm not, totally against our guy Blake Corum sneaking in to get some snaps from Kyron Williams in 25-26 as well too. GT at 30-1 is actually looking like a decent bet. Jordan Mason 60-1. I don't know how crazy we're gonna get with the swings here. Josh Allen at 14-1 is honestly the other bet I think you have to make for rushing touchdowns at the point. So Bijan at 12-1 after scoring 15 touchdowns over, I guess, 12 rushing, 14 rush. So yeah, only one receiving touchdown last year. 14 rushing touchdowns. If they really take a step forward, it wouldn't be shocking to see him, just to be up to 16. Gibbs had 18 it said last year. He had 20 overall, but from a rushing standpoint, 16 was the lead. So yeah, Bijan getting 2 more rushing touchdowns. I guess now we're kind of hoping we get him 5th at this point as well. I guess really maybe the lesson is just take any of those 3 guys over the receivers options. And I guess Puka is a guy we love as well too. We're not against taking Jefferson or obviously Chase. But with the absolute first round top end pick, maybe one of those 3 running backs would be the best bet. And unlike years past, again, sometimes the veteran guy at the top. Derrick Henry's been that guy at the past as well too, even though he continues to produce. I've just been a little resistant from taking that guy personally. And again, would lean more the younger running back, Bijan or Gibbs. But I would still love Barkley with this spot. So if running back goes 1, 2, 3, then I guess, we're making 4 running backs in the top 5. We'll just take G&T at that point. Or Puka, because we can't take Puka and then take G&T in the second. I guess he did almost fall last time, but again, AJ Brown I feel like is more likely to fall as well. And if we're going for those other receiver options, we haven't even drafted Drake London yet as well, but like we said in our stock in the Falcons offense, I would not be against him as a wide receiver 1, slotted in the draft and then building up that wide receiver room a little bit as well too with some extra certainty. But let's see how this actually plays out here, chat, as we target the running backs. Chase is off the board first, so that's a good sign. It means we're definitely going to get G&T at least. Bijan goes second, so I imagine one of these 2 running backs could go 2 and 3. Jefferson off the board, so we're going to get one of the running backs, chat. Saquon or Gibbs, and it's going to be Saquon. So we have, again, said G&T is our guy, and we could just take G&T to stick with the rules, but I guess G&T is the next guy out of the obvious top 3. So G&T is the 4th one outside of Barkley, but I'm just stamping with my approval and saying that G&T is a good pick. So we're going to end up with this Eagles offense team again, which is maybe the only other reason I want to take G&T. Is just diversify the team, but the Eagles offense also does score touchdowns. So we are not against that also. But because we're earlier on here, the running back the quarterback may take the spot of the running back on the turn in our draft strategy, where we said take the running back that you like first, because we're taking the dual threat quarterback that provides the rushing ability. So we may try to snag Josh Allen here and just give him the old fantasy jinx and then take the receiver with the next pick after that. Again, pick 5, we are not necessarily, and we're kind of right in the middle. I guess this is a 10-person, not a 12-person as well. But Puka did go there a little bit, and GT back-to-back. I was going to say, thought that was the same team, but we got Brian and Ben. Ben almost assembling our team. Puka and Amon-Ra, kind of close enough. But the quarterbacks haven't gone yet. We're going to definitely start the run on quarterbacks. The receivers left. Oh, Brian Thomas. Oh, chat. We've got to make a decision. A.J. Brown. So, yeah, honestly, that kind of confirms it. I might just go GT in the top 5, even if Saquon was on the board, just for the diversity of it. So there are enough QBs, honestly. Josh Allen, Lamar, Jaden, and all those guys are going to be picked next. It is what it is. So let's just go A.J. Brown. We've said it. We're taking the Eagles offense. Shout out. A.J. Brown's our guy. We're sticking to our guns, chat. McConkey would have been a fun if he's there in the 3rd. Maybe we pivot away and now we're just totally off our draft strategy at this point. But at this, we got Chase Brown. We'll just cross our fingers and hope that the run on quarterbacks hasn't quite happened. And at this point, the math is math in chat. We may get a guy. Bowers goes. Okay, that's great for this draft. This is going to work out. We're going to take a quarterback. Allen, Lamar, Hurts, Daniels, Burrow. Oh, we're right on the edge, chat. This is the pick. This is going to start the run. Derrick Henry. Okay. The run hasn't started yet. Somebody take another tight end. Who's on the board? McBride. Somebody take McBride. There we go, chat. Somebody took McBride. A-Chan. Bucky Irvin. Bucky Irvin's got to be the next pick. Can we bet on this? We got to bet on this draft, chat. We can read the ESPN auto drafts like we're a fortune teller. I don't know if we keep going. Hey, I was going to say A-Chan, of course. McConkey's next. This guy's got to take McConkey. T. Higgins. Okay, chat, so we got a quarterback. That's crazy. We actually got Josh Allen in the 3rd. This feels unrealistic, but screw it. We'll take him. So we diversified the Eagles offense. We didn't get Hurts, but we did almost get the Eagles. So our strategy is rookies or the Eagles offense is essentially the best way to build a fantasy team this year. But quarterback in the 3rd, I think, is the move. So we're basically saying Allen, Hurts, Lamar, whichever one of those guys you can get in the 3rd is going to, Jaden Daniels even, I think, because he can provide a little bit of scrambling as well, too, or is the move in the 3rd. So GT or Saquon, A.J. Brown, and then QB is our, but I guess for our ideal team, we actually have to pick a QB. So the easy pick is Josh Allen. I don't think realistically, though, he may be an end of the 2nd round guy. He's a guy that's going to get overdrafted. So we could go Jaden Daniels here. It's not going to be a hot take for us to put Jalen Hurts in our perfect fantasy team lineup. But again, he's draftable here in these 3rd rounds. But I don't feel like other fantasy players are totally respecting his name the same way that they do, Josh Allen and Lamar as that dual threat guy. Maybe there's always, but you only need one other guy in your league to be targeting him as well, too. That's the thing. It's not like, okay, I'm out thinking everybody. It's just one other sneaky guy with a pick can take a guy. But again, he's been gettable, even though Josh Allen is the guy now. So it's the strategy has stayed the same, and the draft has played out a little bit different. The names are a little bit different than our quote-unquote perfect team. But again, the strategy is still the same. Running back, receiver, quarterback as the first 3 picks does seem to be the way to go. But the team we might be riding with perfect version-wise for Rem and Sam fantasy purposes is going to be Hurts, GT, and then Brown. I can't make it Puka because Puka is not really a 2nd round pick. So I make it Nico Collins, but it's not, though. The thing is, it is A.J. Brown, so I can't just make it somebody else and pretend. So 4th is where we go. Then our guy Henderson in the 4th, lock in that RB2 spot. And then we could go Tyler Warren in the 5th as like our wide receiver 2, I guess. But because we have our quarterback, we don't have to worry about that. So Marvin Harrison Jr. might actually be wide receiver 2 option for Team Rem and Sam. And then we go Jennings a little bit later after that. So as much as, we had fun flirting with RJ Harvey tonight, I don't know if we're necessarily... Well, he's a little bit farther down as well, too, than I was thinking. So maybe we don't get RJ Harvey. I would be willing to sacrifice RJ Harvey for Juwan Jennings. Even though RJ Harvey might be in a better spot to have the better year, I think I'm just more pro Juwan Jennings this season. Though for some reason, Harvey versus Harrison is now a battle in my mind as well. But I do think that Harrison is going to have a good year this year. So let's keep him in mind as well and hope that he doesn't get sniped by one of these guys. Double quarterbacks? I feel like nobody's taking the quarterbacks. Burrow is still on the board. That's the lack of the rushing threat. Oh, wait a second. Oh, no, nobody's made a pick yet. That's because we're looking at receivers. Okay, there we go. Marvin Harrison is still on the board. 3 picks and 2 receivers away. Ooh, Kenneth Walker. The injury risk, of course, is definitely there, but the overall production can't be denied. So can't judge him for that pick for sure. Oh, chat. 1 pick away, we get sniped. So Garrett Wilson still in the same tier for sure. So now we're going Tyler Warren. Maybe we do just go off the board and just take Harvey here. Hubbard is a good pick. You know what? Round 5, Tyler Warren. Screw it, chat. Do we just go with Warren because let's go with our guy Metcalf. Hey, yo, chat. Metcalf, wide receiver 2. You know what? We need to take a swing. We've played it, G&T, Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown. Oh, the Rem and Sam pod's cool for picking good fantasy players. We need to take a swing. Let's make it DK Metcalf. Again, it's not even really a swing, but the swing at the situation is what we're saying. If he's going to, let's see if Aaron Rodgers just, all out relies on Metcalf this year, and hopefully he stays maybe healthy as well too. So round 6 with the QB is now definitely Tyler Warren range. Again, we have all of our other starters in place. So the other receivers, Flowers, again, some names. If Garrett Wilson's still there at some point, again, we have to take the value as well too. We just have to play the draft the way it plays out. And realistically, Fields, again, Wilson a little bit more talented than Metcalf, but I don't know if Wilson has been, again, like out fantasy producing him in a major way year to year as well. So him as the wide receiver 2, I'm not necessarily bummed out about as well. And we're kind of looking some wide receiver 3s. I guess Sutton and Ridley do have wide receiver and Flowers. Yeah, so there's still some stacked options here as well. Harvey is the other guy that we're still... So Harvey is kind of going to sneak on to the Rem Sam team. I was going to try to kick him out the door, chat, but he's back. Hey, yo, Harvey can't be denied. It is what it is. So we're probably going to get Tyler Warren here. I doubt anybody's going to reach for him in this spot. Or do we go Jennings in this spot and then Tyler Warren? The thing is, we do need a running back a little bit, or a tight end a little bit more, obviously. And the Jennings pick is a little bit farther down the list. So finally Garrett Wilson goes. That's good value there. I must want to look at that team and see how that... Oh, wait, Garrett, I keep getting this mixed up with what's on the actually pick. So Garrett Wilson's on the board. Hey, yo. So now I have to make a call, Garrett Wilson or Tyler Warren. Well, again, we have to play the draft. So I think Garrett Wilson, unfortunately, is going to take that Juwan Jennings spot for our ideal team draft strategy. But I think we'll live with that as an upgrade. And to be honest, again, Garrett Wilson, DK Metcalf, maybe that worked out in the wrong order. But I think as a A.J. Brown, DK Metcalf, Garrett Wilson name value team, I mean, again, the real life team of this, Josh Allen, Saquon, A.J. Brown, DK Metcalf, and Garrett Wilson. I mean, holy cow. That's the 3-person receiver core of that is absolutely crazy. So Harvey does become the backup that we eye at this point for the bench. Or no, wait, we didn't actually pick Tyler Warren there. So if we can get Tyler Warren round 7, then all things are going to work themselves out. And then maybe Harvey becomes our number 1 bench guy because, again, he does have RB1 opportunity as well too. So that would give us 3 rookie running backs if we go G&T in another draft strategy. That would be in that upside. And since we don't have G&T in this draft as well, we need a second rookie running back. So after Warren, Harvey. So let's put Harvey on our list, chat. We got we're just buying stock in all the rookie running backs. Ayo. It is what it is. But Metcalf gives us leeway to take a lot of guys. So yeah, Warren will snag our tight end here, even if it's a little early. It doesn't matter. I mean, again, we could have gone Harvey and then tried to take Warren next, but we'll go with the starter, and then maybe Krosky Merritt is also a guy that we add to our perfect team list. And then Cam Scadaboo. How many rookie running backs can we buy stock in? Did Jennings go off the board as well, or is he still available? Okay, so I guess we have to choose between Harvey and Jennings. If we can navigate the draft correctly, maybe Harvey is our round 8 guy, and then Jennings is our round 9 guy. But once we start getting to the Godwin, Olave, Golden, unproven, Pittman quarterback situation, Cup, age, Diggs, who knows, Addison suspended, like it just, you can really start checking off some names, and the scroll becomes easy to get to Jennings, that's for sure. And I have to even make sure that somebody doesn't snipe him as well, too. I guess if we set our queue, we can just watch our queue, because Jennings is one of the only guys that we are eyeing Keon Coleman as well, too. And at that point, it does kind of honestly become a drop-off. Dobbs would be a late-round pick, unless there's some training camp stuff that is being out about his performance and like his role would really be taking a step back. Otherwise, he would be a guy that I would eye later in drafts as well, too, that can play and, of course, be really productive in that Packers offense. So, chat, we've been sniped a couple of times. Harvey's moving up the list. It's him and Montgomery as the best 2 running backs available. We've got an auto pick, so if this guy takes Montgomery, I don't know if Harvey's the auto pick. We'd have to see what that guy's roster is at this point. He's basically debating on whether or not he wants Travis Hunter or RJ Harvey. Hey, yo. Oh, he takes Montgomery, and Godwin goes. So the ideal draft works out. Welcome to Team Rem and Sam, RJ Harvey. Welcome to the perfect lineup for 2026. I guess I already wrote your name down. So you're officially introduced. And if we can get Jennings, then this is just the best bench we've ever built, chat. It is what it is. I don't know how many bench guys we need to, claim, buy stock in for the fantasy season. But I guess you do have a waiver wire. So we could pick up some waiver wires, the guys that we're buying stock in throughout the course of the season as well. Maybe we just write Travis Hunter's name down if he is a potential slide candidate. Or I guess we did say we kind of liked Evan Ingram, but that would be 2 Broncos. We're buying stock in the Broncos and the Eagles. Hey, yo. Didn't see that happening. But I guess that's how it turned out. Oh, we did say Kyle Pitts has an honorary spot on Team Rem and Sam. So let's write him down, chat, on the bench. There's a lot of bench spots on this. Honestly, a lot of these guys, it starts to get to the point in the draft where there's sometimes I'll go way down to the draft and be like, oh, yeah, I got sleepers for days. But at this point, it's like, oh, my sleeper for days is, I guess, Kyle Pitts. So maybe Dobbs. Let's double check that Packers receiving room. Again, Golden, I guess, is getting the hype. Is he the highest drafted Packers? Oh, I guess Reed was getting drafted up there as well, too. But again, they do run almost receiver by committee as well. So, yeah, honestly, I think the tight end depth might be the way to go. We could go the QB depth behind Josh Allen. I guess Fields did just go, so, and there goes Hunter. We could go, Josh Allen and Herbert would be kind of a fun 2 QB. Josh Allen and Drake May. Josh Allen and potentially mini Josh Allen as well. So there goes, oh, chat. Hey, yo, we're going to I almost forgot about our guy Jennings. Hey, yo, we're not even paying attention to our strategy. So this is perfect. Wait, who did we say we were going to potentially take? Coleman or, like Dobbs or something? Yeah, we got time. So, yeah, let's take Jennings here. This is turning out to be the perfect draft almost for Team Rem and Sam. Let me double check this team. Is this actually the perfect draft? Josh Allen, Saquon Barkley, Travion Henderson, A.J. Brown, DK Metcalf, wide receiver 2, Tyler Warren, Garrett Wilson in the flex. And then right now our bench is R.J. Harvey and Jennings. So this might be honestly a good time just if you're nailing your draft. Well, Keon Coleman's the last guy in our queue. But if you go like 2 or 3 spots deep into your bench and are just feeling really great, then you just take the defense that you really like as well too. because I do like that Vikings defense, from a pressure standpoint. The Texans defense with their secondary as well is really scary. And the Broncos defense with Hufanga, like we said, is obviously going to be menacing too. So where's the Giants defense? The Giants defense, who knows if they're going to be good, but they're obviously going to be able to pressure the quarterback. So I guess don't be afraid if you have to if you have to feel like you need to take the Giants defense. I wouldn't necessarily be too bummed out about that. There may be some weeks where there's some really good fantasy weeks for them, and I guess their secondary may be a little weak, but we could double check that as well too. So we just go the Vikings defense here, potentially. Caleb Johnson, if we just lean in for the rookie running backs, Cam Scadaboo, Addison, Jaden Reed. Rashid Shaheed, the receivers do feel a little repetitive at this point. We draft and stash Addison. You know what? We love Debo, chat. We've been pro Debo in the mock. Let's just take Debo here and get him on the board in our lineup as well too. And you know what? Maybe we add him to the perfect lineup. I feel like people aren't really talking about Debo this year. Keon Coleman was off the board at that point. So, shout out. Debo can be a bench guy that, we've had stock in him, so we're not buying up new stock for 25, 26. But I guess, I'll buy up some of the last shares of Debo for like Debo Samuel, 1,000 all-purpose yards. Could he have 800 receiving yards and 300 rush yards? I guess that'd be quite a bit of rush yards, and he doesn't really run a rush that much as well too. But I think we've basically made it through the drafts at this point. Adonai Mitchell, shout out. I guess our guy Romeo Dobbs, like we were saying, we still got to double check this Packers roster and see what is going on with the receiver room here. Oh yeah, Wicks is still, so that's still pretty stacked. Oh, and Hardman too. Watson, still all the same names that you would expect. So let's see if we can actually make sense of this fantasy lineup as well too. We're saying, I guess, we ended up getting Josh Allen in this draft, so do we just take Josh Allen? The revenge year, Haley Steinfeld, Sinners chat. Can we take Josh Allen and say that's a credit to Sinners? I don't know if that's how that works, but, he is the NFL with the relationship in that movie. So I guess we ended up with, this is not going to be the draft that's considered our perfect draft. We're going to pick and choose because, again, I don't know how realistic it is you actually get Saquon and Josh Allen in a draft, but hey, who knows? We did end up with it here. So let's go, and Josh Allen and Gene T as well too. It felt like if we were targeting Gene T, we weren't really in Josh Allen range, but definitely more Hurts range. So if we're taking, let's draft and stash Addison. Who cares? If we're taking and targeting Gene T as our perfect running back, then I guess we can go with an Eagle as the quarterback. So let's go Hurts as our QB. We've got the two rookies, Gene T, and then you can get Henderson in the fourth like we've been doing. So Gene T and Henderson as our ideal running back room. We've got A.J. Brown. So we are doubling up the receiver quarterback there, but that's not bad. We don't mind that. A.J. Brown and Metcalf as our ideal receivers, I guess, drafting-wise, as it works out. I don't know if you guys are doing 2 flex leagues, but if you are, we've got Jennings as a ideal flex option. And then I guess was R.J. Harvey our other... He is kind of in that flex territory, honestly. So wait, who are the other names? Oh, Coleman? So we have to decide between R.J. Harvey and Keon Coleman who we want to take a stand up. I feel like I've played in a lot more 2 flex leagues in the past, and we did have Warren as our tight end. So do I want to go all in on Harvey and say that he's gonna be our flex, or do we want to keep him on the bench and not quite commit all the way? I guess Pitts was on the bench, Debo was on the bench, so those were guys that are in different spots. 3 rookie running backs with Brown, Metcalf, and Jennings. Harvey does feel like a little... I don't know. Harvey feels like the risk here. I don't know. But we do like... And, it's just that... who was their other running back? Oh, Dobbins is actually, like we're saying, good. But he's, unfortunately... when has he ever been healthy, Chad? So that is something that we probably need to take into consideration. Legit, I'm just being biased at this point. Just digging, guys. We're not looking at it. I mean, I could put Leggett on our bench for Leggett as a flex option. I'm not against that, but 2 receivers, we could give a running back some love. And let's go Harvey as a draftable guy in that range. Again, this seems like a draftable team. So I guess this is not in draft order, but in roster order, you've got Jalen Hurts, Gene T, Travion Henderson, the AJ Brown, DK Metcalf, Jennings, and Harvey, and Warren as your potential fantasy offense. And then if you can snag the Vikings defense, we'll say the Vikings defense as well too is the ideal one. And don't be afraid to overdraft them as well. I do kind of like their secondary, but also, again, Flores dialing up stuff as well. Should we double check and make sure Flores is still the DC over in the Minnesota? Okay, yes, he is still the Minnesota DC. So, if that is the case, then he is going to be dialing up great pressures and schemes for this team all year. And they still have, Harrison. They lost Cam Bynum to the Colts, so there is a tough spot. But they do have Metellus. That's right. I do like Metellus as well. Rogers, Okuda, I guess we'll have to see. So maybe the Texans defense is the ideal one, but again, that's the number one. So, we're planting our flags on G&T, Jalen Hurts, and the Texans defense. So we'll say the Vikings defense to go down a couple notches and take a swing. But we're taking enough of a swing on DK Metcalf, I feel like, in the Steelers to, rewrite everybody on this list. So that is, I guess, the perfect sort of ADP draft strategy projectable lineup, if you can find it, for 2025, 26 that we're rocking with. I guess tune into the next live stream to see if we change our mind. We still have time before the season starts to do so, but I guess we'll call it a night there, chat. We will be back later this week. Like I said, I don't know the weekend. I assume we should still be able to go live Friday night, though I'll be on the West Coast, so it may be, maybe doing travel log live from the Bay. We'll have to see. But for Tuesday, we will be here, of course, live, business as usual. But it's an exciting week, chat. Like we said, shout out to Sam, shout out to Naya. Can't wait to be a part of that day later this week. But you can subscribe to the Remington, just like and smash and subscribe the like button. Hey, yo, for that. Show support for the wedding. And and then, you can follow the pods and do all the different stuff. But, yeah, we'll be here on the YouTube later this week. And you can send us some messages at Remington on Instagram. You know the drill. Just watch the live streams. We've said it enough times. It is what it is. Most importantly, like I said, we'll be back here Tuesday night on the YouTube live, going through some more, probably just redoing the fantasy stuff because I've changed my mind on a bunch of stuff. So stay tuned for that. And we will see you all later. Enjoy the rest of your night. Peace.